administration is trying very hard. And what's sad about it is it seems that the administration doesn't even know where to go after this. As you said, it is an objective fact. It's not subjective opinion. It's not black-pilling. The administration has its lowest approval since Trump got back into office. I think it's down to 39%. That's one of the lowest numbers we've had since the first term. And you see that the administration seems to not really know how to bounce back.
Oh my God, what's
up?
up?
Shortly after the off-year election back in November, Trump administration is totally fumbling from one thing after the next, flopping around with the Epstein files. Then you had the Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving Congress. Now you have this post about Rob Reiner, who was brutally murdered at his home in Hollywood. And these are all things that not only are they not winning back the whole country, let's say like the middle or the coalition that propelled Trump into office in 24, but it's even losing Trump's most virile supporters, his biggest and loudest supporters, people like Marjorie Greene. Why is she not on the team? People that wanted transparency on Epstein files, why are they not on the coalition? And, you know, stuff like that post on Truth Social, I don't know anybody that likes that. I don't know anybody that thinks that's acceptable. So
well, let's be clear,
the administration...
we love Trump attacking powerful globalists like Hillary, saying he'll be in prison, but it's an obvious no-brainer. I put a video out saying I was sad he was dead, because I genuinely was, even though I didn't like Rob Reiner and he'd gotten me deplatformed and celebrated it, been involved with Brennan doing it. I said he was still telling the guy, I'm sorry he's dead. But even from a cynical view, say something nice about a man and woman brutally murdered by their son. Like, it's the dumbest move. So you have to ask about a 79-year-old Trump. I don't think it's dementia. I don't think he's, you know, but regardless, he's making very bad decisions. I mean, that is just as a microcosm. What a crazy PR decision.
Well, he's floundering. He's floundering. I think like we talked about last time, sadly, it seems like he has fully engaged the old playbook, which is that he's in trouble. He knows he's in trouble. The approval ratings are down. His base seems to be leaving him a little bit. And whenever that happens, he always doubles down on mean tweets, let's say as a category. Not necessarily a mean post on Twitter, although that is how it is expressed and how it manifests. But he doubles down on cruelty, culture war, laying into his enemies, ranting on television. And that used to be a playbook that worked, I think, back in the first administration or even in that first election in 2016. But now it seems like he sort of lost his touch. It's kind of tone deaf. Whereas at one time, he was bringing that fight against, like you said, the globalists, somebody like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Who's he attacking now? Now it's anybody that wanted Epstein files. Now it's Marjorie Greene, who is one of his people, who is like one of the first MAGA congressmen that rode that wave after his original...
yesterday, and it's on record, she's right. He has all these Republicans in that vote against him, but they kiss his ass, and then she votes 98% of the time with him, but warns him, and then he turns on her and calls her a traitor. That is so stupid, and it hurt him bad. Like, that's dumb.
Exactly, and that's what's sad is you have these policy failures, and I agree with you in many ways. It's a long 4 years. A lot of this stuff is complicated. Trump is trying, and you're right, it's not all bad. There are some things that are good that are going on, and I think that people might have patience for him to follow through. But the problem is he's reacting badly to the poll numbers, and it's making everything worse. It's compounding the failure. So you have a first year, which is pretty lackluster and disappointing. People get upset. In order to make people happy, he starts lashing out wildly, floundering with really no strategy, and if there is, not a very good one. And now people are accelerating their exit from the party. And so the question is, does Trump have the power inside of himself to make himself new? Can he get on a solid footing, or is this just going to be like a miserable, long decline?
He was 6 months during the campaign last year. He was really good at not being the reactionary, manipulated Trump. Now he's worse than ever. Kimmel had no viewers. He talks about him, boosts his ratings, empowers him. What is Susie Wallace doing, giving corporate media interviews? It's like so the old Trump that had problems but woke up, got better. Now it's back to the old Trump, but worse.
Yes, and that was a big part of my prediction last year, as I said he just hasn't learned his lesson. Because the first administration, let's be honest, is not what anybody really wanted. He didn't really deliver the victory. And what I wanted to see in 24 is, okay, you've had a go at it. You've been there for 4 years. You've made your connections. Are you now going to be able to go in and govern better, govern effectively? And I remember during the campaign, I saw a lot of things that suggested, no, it's the same old Trump. And actually, maybe he's probably worse. So it has been a big disappointment. I think it's even more disappointing because there's such a mandate. There's such an opportunity right now. And you hate to speak about it in these ways, but Charlie Kirk being assassinated, that was actually a political opportunity to get things done, to tackle the left, which is trying to persecute our side. And so to not only not deliver on this historic mandate when you win the election, but also then to pass up opportunities. And again, you hate to speak about it in those terms, but this is politics,
let me give you an example. Like 6-7 days after they bring up Charlie, and people behind the scenes said Trump was very upset, all of this. And they go to Trump, they say, what about Charlie? And he goes, oh, never mind, look at the ballroom. And it was just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's true. We are under attack. The left's saying kill us. He should make a bigger issue out of that. Exactly. He suddenly went from making a lot better moves during the campaign in the first 3 or 4 months to running out Elon, doing all this. Susie Walls attacking Elon, enemy head. I mean, it's bad.
It is bad, and it seems like that whole approach just failed, because I like the Doge approach. I like the Elon Musk approach. I liked how they talked about operating, which is we're going to move quickly.
He had the highest ratings ever during that, and that's made the Republican establishment scared, and somehow they manipulated him to kick him out. And then the people want to cheerlead Trump. Oh, you're a traitor. You're for Elon. I'm like, no, idiots. Elon is a freaking genius. We need him in there, and it's popular, you dumbasses.
Yeah, I think people loved it. People like the idea of bringing that energy to the White House and actually disrupting. That's the whole point, is to drain the swamp, get rid of the deep state, actually shake things up. And you're right, I think that got too popular. Maybe too many people liked it. Or, you know, Elon wasn't playing the patronage. He was going in there and hiring people that were protected, felt like they were protected. Then they laughed out and said, no, you don't understand. That's not how things work around here. In D.C., everybody needs to get their back scratched. Everybody needs to get paid or whatever. And now we are back to that kind of sclerotic tempo that we had in the first term. And I think it'll be met with similar results. It's like we've been talking about. Midterms are next year. We almost certainly lose the House. We might even lose it earlier than that, sadly, you know, between now and New Year's Eve or in January. And then things get better. I think it gets worse. So,
by the way, some workers won't get that. If you have enough Republicans, they're already going down to 1 or 2. They don't vote. They've already lost the House technically.
Exactly, because it's a 4-vote majority as of 24. They've had a number of people withdraw, and this is typically when people announce their retirement, is during the holiday season, on the off year. And so you're right, if they lose a few more seats, then they lose the majority, and then they can't govern. Even before 26. And, you know, that's not really a glowing endorsement. This is supposed to be the golden age, and people are literally headed for the end before the midterms even happen, before you even lose the election. So it's really
all because
sad.
Trump literally slaps him around on TV. By the way, certain people have said, oh, MTG's not getting real threats. It's on record she has. I get threats. Scott tried to come and kill you earlier this year. And they're like, oh, she's making it up. No, I talked to her on the phone, and the police reports are there. They are under total assault right now. And she's like, I'm not running for president. I'm done. She's like, I'm a successful businesswoman. I did my turn. You know, she's done. And people love MTG. I mean, that hurt Trump again. He probably lost 3-4 points doing that to her. Again, it's idiotic. And I'll say it, Trump, you're destroying yourself. We need you to succeed. God almighty.
It's really sad about Marjorie Greene, and you know what? People understand how she feels, because we've all been on this train for 10 years. We've all been on this ride. We've all sacrificed a lot.
Why the fuck are they attacking me?
The warfare is real. Everything that has happened to you, to me, Marjorie, Tim Pool, all these
Man,
people
this shit
that
is
have
turning
been
into
under
a
the gun.
fucking nightmare like
We've been
always,
fighting this
man.
battle
Every
for
time
a
I come
very
into this
long
fucking
time.
biome,
And
dude.
for Trump to get this opportunity, he finally has like ultimate power, let's say, House, Senate, White House, popular vote, Supreme Court. He really has an opportunity.
Yo, what's up, man?
And he's just blowing it, and on top of it, then going in and attacking the people that helped propel him into the office for demanding.
There's an area here where the fucking the goblins have a camp that spawned inside of the Mistland. So there's all these enemies there. There's many goblins and stuff, and then there's also seekers and soldier seekers, and then it seems also there's a dwarf castle there, or like a dwarf base also, and somehow the dwarfs are trying to fight me. I don't remember ever arguing with them here, so I don't know why they're attacking me, but one of the wizards was shooting me right now, so I ran away. But it's funny because all this is spawning together in one little area.
Here's how Trump can still do it. We still have 1 year to do Section 230 or close the border.
I think it's because it's nighttime.
I remember right up until the very end saying, here's how we could still get it together. And I think that it's him. Like, he is the problem.
I'm here because I want to get some of the flesh.
He doesn't have the follow-through. His personality is toxic. I mean, we could say, well, if we just push really hard on Twitter, if we just make some calls. Yeah, I mean, we can put pressure on the administration. That's really all we can do, and we have to do what we can. But what are the realistic chances we get Trump to snap out of it? He's an 80-year-old man. I think when you're 80 years old, you're kind of out of reinvention. I don't see a lot of... People don't tend to change. They certainly don't change their ways at 80 years old. And especially when they're the king of America and no one can tell them no. So, sadly, I think we're kind of just stuck with this, and we have to just try to...
a full-bore war with Venezuela as a distraction?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing, which is just straight out of House of Cards. I mean, it's like, that's the cynical play.
So let's talk about what flailing Trump's going to do with the dangers of it.
So I think a flailing Trump, this is the war, you know, and there's been some sources that have said that he will announce a war with Venezuela tonight. This is just a classic. This is what you do. You get in trouble, you start what is considered to be a short-term, easy intervention, like George Bush in Desert Storm, or George Bush in Panama for that matter. You get an easy win, it's a slam dunk, and that helps you in the midterm. So I think he does something like that. And afterwards, I don't know where he goes from here. I think he's just getting more and more bitter and angry. I think they might try. I think what they should do is a big push on their domestic agenda. I think they should try to use budget reconciliation and get through.
The polls show great input. We want, even if he's doing domestic stuff, which he is, we need to hear about that more. Exactly.
Yes, and do what we elected you to do. Get a bill together that closes the border. It's law and order. We have to stop the crime in the cities. You know, an Irina Zarutska law, something like that. Do something about election fraud, paper ballots. I don't know. Get a domestic agenda together. Use budget reconciliation to the extent that you can, or one of these other deadlines, defense authorization, whatever, and get some legislation passed. At the end of the day, Trump has only passed 5 bills in his first year. 5 bills in the whole Congress. So there's just not a lot of governing that's happening. There's not a lot of policy. So if I'm Trump, I would say put down the phone, stop posting about Somalians and about Rob Reiner and all this other stuff, and actually govern, pass some executive orders, pass some legislation, actually create some policy, and then, like you said, make the case, talk about it, sell it to the American people, but they just have nothing to run on. You're going into the midterms with literally nothing to run on. I can't think of a single tangible victory, a policy-related victory, arguably other than closing the border. But that should have been a given. I mean, that should have been done a long time ago. So if I'm Trump, that's what I'm going to do.
What do you make of Wiles trying to put him back on the campaign trail? I think that's a really bad idea. It'll exhaust him, divert him more. We want action. We want policy. We want indictments. Real indictments. That makes us win. What do you really think about Susie Wiles?
I never liked her. And I don't think that her head is in the same place as Trump. I know a lot of people say she's not really the problem. Well, she's a lobbyist. She's a lobbyist from Florida, from this Ballard firm. She's in bed with all these other governments, and Florida is a swamp. I mean, it's a literal and figurative swamp. And by the way, she brought all these people in. These are all Florida people. Mike Waltz, who was fired for being in bed with Israel, he's a Florida. Pam Bondi, exactly right. Rubio, who is pushing this war in Venezuela, and then Cuba, and then Nicaragua. These are all Florida people. Ratcliffe, I believe she brought in as well. I don't know that he's from Florida, but
just to be clear, you and I contextually, historically, under Thomas Jefferson gunboat diplomacy, get hemispheric power. Technically, Trump can do this, but they're going to set him up, a new Vietnam, the CIA, they've already tried it, and they're doing it as a diversion. So
damn it.
That's why I'm saying actually they shouldn't do it.
Well, and not only that, but it is so much more ambitious than people realize. This is like a reverse domino theory where Rubio, like this guy, this is his presidential campaign material. He wants to be the guy that toppled Venezuela and then toppled Cuba and then toppled Nicaragua. As a Cuban American, his dream is like...
And Mexico.
Fuck, man.
Right, the left-wing regime in Mexico, maybe even Lula while we're at in Brazil. His dream is to, like, defeat communism and leftism in the Caribbean and Latin America.
And I don't think that's done, but I've looked at the angles, and it's like, you're talking about multiple Vietnams here. And then the Russians...
I came all the way over here for nothing.
The word is just like Cuba in 61, have nukes there.
Well, it's a jungle. It's a jungle. Venezuela's 30 million people, many cities, it's a jungle. Mexico's 130 million people. The Mexican government doesn't even have control over the country. Cuba's got special forces. Like, so I don't know that the American public is really ready to buy into this. Like, I don't even know what you would call this. Like you said, it's multiple Vietnams in the Caribbean. It's a much greater commitment than people actually are thinking about. And I don't know who voted for that. I think the whole pitch was no.
It's a reverse Red Dawn. It's not Latin America with the Russians invading us, it's just invading them. And again, if Trump... I'd love to fix that if we had the CIA under control, but they're going to set him up for sure. I mean, I've already heard from sources in the Pentagon, the CIA is already leaking the attack plans to Nicolas Maduro. So we're walking into a trap. People get confused by us because we're being academic saying we wish this was gone, but could it be done?
Well, that's the question. If you could wave a magic wand and have the entire Western Hemisphere align with Washington, of course, that would be in our best interest. And I would even support engagement with these countries to that end. But the question is regime change the way to go? Are you actually going to get the kind of order that you want, or are you going to get guerrilla warfare with drug cartels and Indians shooting at you from the jungle? Are you going to get narco-terrorism? Are you going to get something that is a lot more far-reaching than what you bargained for? And the record of history is that these kinds of coups and regime change, it doesn't actually work most of the time.
And that's the key, is that these groups only have the drugs and things they're doing. There's no government, so you can't even come in and take them over. They're going to have to continue and fight you because it's all they have.
Exactly. What is the parallel structure? Okay, you remove Maduro, now who's going to rule Venezuela? We're going to be setting up another nation-building thing like we did in Iraq. Just not a good idea, and it'll fail, you know? Should have kept their promises.
Well, yeah, I was on the fence, but I had my concerns. But Flynn came on 2 weeks ago and he said, don't do it, it's a setup. Nick Fuentes is on fire. We're going to come right back. We got so many interesting topics to cover, and I have things I disagree with him on. Stay with us. Jumping in a lot because what he was saying I totally agree with, but I want to just give you 10 minutes when we're shutting up here to finish up on Venezuela, what you think Trump should say at this address tonight versus what you think he's going to say. It's not even a prediction, but what you predict or your dead reckoning. And then I want to move into what will it look like if Trump fails, and what do you think we should expect, and then how do we move on from Trump if we're entering the post-Trump era if this continues, and what is your advice to American people, the people of the world? Then I want to look at the rise of Islam. I want to look at where Israel's going, and so much more with Nick J. Fuentes. Nick, please continue.
Yeah, so picking up on Venezuela, we have this address tonight. I think, like you said, it's at 8 o'clock Central, and I don't know exactly what he's going to say. Like you said, they've been pretty tight-lipped about it. I saw on Judge Napolitano, Tucker was just a guest on that show this morning, and he said he was told by a member of Congress it's going to be a declaration of war. And at the minimum, that's going to be a part of the address, and we're going to war with Venezuela. And that would track because, of course, this has been escalating over the past few weeks. Most recent development is that Trump has effectively declared a blockade of Venezuela, or at least an oil blockade. He said over the weekend that the United States will interdict all oil shipments that are leaving Venezuela, and most of those are going to China. About 80% of Venezuela's crude is going to China, and this follows up from the seizure of the oil tanker last week. So he seized an oil tanker. Presumably we're going to take the oil. This weekend he said that actually all of the oil exports will be shut down.
Nice, I think we found one.
That effectively destroys Venezuela's economy. And as we talked about with Iran, other conflicts, this is that maximum pressure strategy, and this is just the latest escalation. So it would be fitting if tonight there was some declaration of ground strikes, let's say. This is something they've been talking about for a long time. They've assembled this armada, this giant naval force. It's a carrier strike group. I think it's 70 warships in total, 10,000 troops, F-35 squadrons. They have been stationing in Trinidad and Tobago and Puerto Rico off the coast. And they've been threatening for a long time that all of these naval strikes, I think there's been about 25 maritime strikes against these little drug boats, killed nearly 100 people. They've been saying for a long time that eventually that will progress into targeted airstrikes on the ground at military facilities, airports, where there's drug trafficking happening, and they're actually going to bomb Venezuela's territory. The Bureau has been preparing for that. They've been shutting down highways. They have been getting ready. So it seems that that was logical that Trump would announce there would be some action tonight. That being said, you said this earlier, you said it could just be an hour of Trump bragging about his accomplishments, and I think it's totally possible that it could also just be a load of crap. Because breakouts have there been this year where Trump says, I have an Oval Office address, I'm addressing the public from the White House at noon tomorrow, and he gets up and it's like, we have the greatest economy, the stock market is back, inflation is down, sustainability's not real. So 50-50. 50% chance it could happen. It's just a lot of self-aggrandizement. 50% chance it could be a declaration of war on Venezuela. How it progresses, if I had to guess, I would think that this is just setting up the maximum pressure. I believe this is, this is just a shot. I don't know that he's announcing a swift operation to capture Maduro, invade the country. I don't think there will even be an invasion, strictly speaking. They have about 10,000 personnel stationed off the coast. It could be the case that they have, put together a larger force covertly somewhere else. That's not enough people to invade Venezuela. You had 20,000 invade Panama, and that's a country fraction of the size, fraction of the population, smaller military. So I don't think that a full-fledged invasion with that size of a force. What we get is a tightening of the noose, and they're going to choke Venezuela off more. So they have the blockade. Now if they start initiating ground strikes, maybe there's some other covert actions by the CIA, which they announced earlier in the year, which is the country. Maybe they're looking at something limited just to increase the pressure more. Maybe that's the play. Now, will that succeed? I guess it depends largely on figuring this out and how competent the military is. I don't know for it. I don't think that the military is really prepared for something like this. It came together very quickly. It's not been extremely effective in the past few years. They're really good at dropping bombs from aircraft like they did against ISIS and like they did against Iran. A ground operation, I feel like we haven't seen that in a very long time. So the success, I don't know that it's particularly high. And I don't know that that's even something the American public is looking for. Like we talked about in the previous segment, as always, this is the appeal to the voters before the midterms. If you're struggling on your domestic agenda, if you're flailing because of a domestic scandal, you always go for a quick and easy war. As we talked about with George Bush in Persian Gulf, or in Panama where they did regime change, or even in Grenada. You always go for a quick and easy layup, makes Americans feel confident. I don't know that that will even have the same effect. First of all, we don't know that it will be entirely successful or on what time, or if there will be any kinds of complications. Secondly, is this really what the people voted for? I think the people voted for lower prices, not start wars. I don't know that regime change was really part of the mix. I think actually we wanted the opposite. People voted for free trade, something like tariffs, or a more protectionist agenda, and we're just not succeeding on any of those fronts. So I don't know how we bring that to Republican or Democrat party for some sort of huge victory in 2026. When almost everyone is looking at the deportations aren't happening, as we've talked about, economy, potentially an imminent recession, a housing bubble, AI bubble might burst, have a lot of red flags and early warning indicators in the economy. You know, how much is that even going to move the needle? I'm skeptical that that's going to have a big impact. So this is the playbook. I think that if Trump is able to have any kind of recovery before the midterm elections or at all, I think you have to refocus on the domestic agenda. That is what people want to see solved. You got to get those deportation numbers up. You got to build a border wall. You got to end the war in Ukraine somehow, some way. You have to end the war in Gaza. It looks like even that is coming apart. You need to fix the economy. You need to do something domestically. Get a super bill together. Which they have for the fiscal year 2026. Use national defense authorization or whatever you need to do. Use one of those measures to get a super bill passed. Get Republicans and Democrats together and just pass something. Make life better for Americans. But I fear, and this is something you pointed out too, not only will that not happen, it may actually even get worse because, as you said, according to Susie Wiles in an interview this weekend, she's going to have Trump campaigning in 26 like he was in 24. And a lot of people don't think about this, but the president of the United States, like anybody, only has so many hours in the day. And so if we're going to engage in this huge campaign in 26, Trump is going to be flying around doing rallies. The guy's 80 years old. You can't be doing 4 rallies in a day like you were doing in 2020. And if you do, you're not going to have time and energy for literally anything else. How do you plan?
And that's part of the deep state to come in and sneak stuff past him. I noticed Wiles 3 days ago in a TV interview says he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be back on the campaign trail. Then I see him yesterday. Well, I just heard I'm going to be on the campaign trail. He's literally admitting that she's directing him.
Which is so gross. The whole point of Trump is that he's supposed to be the boss. Susie Wiles, nobody elected her. She's a lobbyist from Florida. And you're right. You're like, yeah, well, I guess I'm going to be campaigning. She's the boss. And you make a good point.
Motherfucker,
if Trump
dude.
is out there on the campaign trail, first of all, he's already falling asleep in every meeting. And which is, you know, look, the guy's an old man. I think everybody would understand that. But now you can't be doing both of those things. You can't walk and chew gum at the same time then. If he's going to be running around the country, if Susie Wiles is going to be running him ragged, not only can he not focus on the agenda, but you're right, this is where he loses control of the White House, which is always the concern. That the cabinet members, that the lobbyists, that the special interests, when Trump is out of the House, when Daddy's not home, other people are going to go in the White House and they're going to be manipulating personnel. They're going to be manipulating policy. And so let's say, for example, Netanyahu was pushing Trump really hard on a war with Iran. And Trump, to his credit, put his foot down and said no for many months. And even when they wanted him to intervene in June, it was very limited. I'm not happy that he bombed Iran, but it could have been a lot worse. And that is just objectively true. And that's because Trump is in the driver's seat and he's got some people that are backing him up. If he's out there falling asleep on the campaign trail in Georgia or Pennsylvania or whatever, they're going to get stuff past the goalie. They're going to get things through because he's not going to be fully in control.
Well, look at the
and
psychology.
Do you trust?
They know he wants to win. And so they'll say, sir, we've got to do this. And yeah, it helps a little, but nothing compared to actual developments and things. And we know that they're always trying to hide things from him. This is like we saw in the first administration. So I'm going to say it right now. Trump, yeah, okay, go for Mike Lindell for governor of Minnesota, stuff like that. Pick and choose a few. But maybe do 3 or 4 events a month. But what we really want is action, and you addressing the American people, and you bringing out these issues. We'll give your advice, President Trump. This is such an obvious trap. You see her power trip in the interview. I know you've seen it. People haven't. We should play. We can dig it up. She's like, well, they don't know it yet. Doesn't know it yet, but he's going back on the campaign trail. Ha ha. And Trump's like, well, I guess it's important. I guess I'm told I'm going. Again, this is outrageous. No, that is not the entertainment time. It's great to have crowds out there. No, we need to get engaged. I'm not worried about what Jimmy Kimmel is saying, or what Vanity Fair's saying, but again, it's nothing against them. It's all those 79-year-old people like Trump and Wiles. They still think ABC is important. They don't understand. They go look at the radio show. ABC Tonight News, 2 million viewers.
Damn, I can't kill him.
Nightly show, 20 million viewers. They don't even. We went on the Elon Musk show. 1 billion people tuned in. It got picked up everywhere. And then Trump only went on Elon one time. Like, I was like, it's total idiocy. But it's because they still think cable TV is king.
That's a really good observation that a lot of people don't realize, because it is like a boomer thing. Trump being from television world and being 80 years old, you're exactly right. He actually still cares about what the New York Times writes about him. He actually still cares about what network television is reporting on. And you're right. Television as a whole is not powerful anymore. It's all online. It's all digital. And at the minimum, that's where the young people are. That's where the coveted demographic is. The 18 to 35 demographic. They're all getting their news on TikTok. They're all getting their news on X. They're all getting their news on YouTube, on the internet. And you're right. They're still getting attacked by like 60 Minutes or like CBS
and
News,
responding
ABC.
back. Like, Trump, I'm going to sue you. And those shows are only big when he goes on them. So so the only time dinosaur media is big is when it's online. He doesn't understand that.
No, and sadly, Charlie Kirk is the one that did understand that. Charlie Kirk, to his credit, delivered the young people for Trump in 24 because he was on TikTok, because he made a deal, and unlike the Republicans who sort of turned their noses up at it, he was there and fought the culture war among the young people and the next generation. Trump was like, oh, I have to go and interview with like Barbara Walters or something. I have to go on like 60 Minutes, and I care about what the New York Times says. He really cares about the mainstream media and Hollywood. He wants to be there. And so if I'm him, you got to go hard and fast. There is urgency. You have to outmaneuver at a faster tempo than the deep state. Focus on the things that are going to win the country back. Specifically the young people. That's things like affordability, it's crime, it's the wars. And if you're running this campaign, it's unfortunately the prophecy that I gave last year, because you actually don't have the full 4 years. You're gonna have, like, realistically about maybe 15, 18 months, and then they're gonna start campaigning for the midterms. They're going to be so busy, then they're going to lose, and then everyone's going to be campaigning for 2028, and half the cabinet will be in opposition, then you're in 28, and it's like, so you never actually get to the number. And this is my problem. Are we going to get 4 years of Trump pushing hard, trying to get victories? Are we going to get like 3 months of executive orders, and then like 3 years and 9 months of crap, where they're like campaigning and trying to make everybody happy, and they're listening to the donors, and they're just kind of sitting on their hands, stalling, running out the clock, because that is exactly what happened in the first term. And sadly, like I said, it's deja vu all over again. So I think that you're right. Trump should maybe pick a few critical races where he can make a difference, and those are the races that'll make a difference for him. He should maybe do one event per week. He should really did in the first 3 months. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
We have the
It's like
globalist, the highest approval rating ever. Convinced to get rid of Elon. So the second hour is coming up, and you can get, but just briefly, the future you see though, if Trump messes this up, and then the Democrats don't just spend what happens in 2028 when they get back out, because they've said they're coming after everybody.
If the Democrats win, it's just over, you know, because, and this is the pendulum swinging back and forth. We elected Trump the first time, and he failed. He totally failed that. And what is the first thing Biden did after that? Judges. What did they say? They said it was going to be shock and awe. against the E-celebrities, against the influencers, against the Trump lieutenants, and they crushed everybody. Rudy Giuliani and you and me and everybody, they crushed everybody. And then they went in with the COVID stimulus, and they only gave it to their allies. Women did not apply for the COVID stimulus, and then they came in with the vax. So, a redux of that, and just like how Trump has escalated, the Democrats will escalate. When they get back in, it's going to make the first Biden term look like a joke. When Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or whoever wins, they are coming after us so hard. And here's the thing. They know how to use the government. We do not. Their allies were Washington. Washington is like 95% Democrat. All the political people, all the lifers, they're all liberal Democrats. They're all gay. They're all women. They're all like, you know, PMC types, college educated. When they get back in power, unlike the Trump administration, they are going to move like a hot through butter when they go after us, just like they did under Biden. So it's going to be a full war on media. It's going to be a full war on the right. I imagine they're going to throw open the border to some extent. How much repair are they going to do after Trump has sent all the refugees back and, you know, immigration law? They're going to say, well, we're open for business all over again. There's going to be fire and fury against the right wing, and especially against Trump. And this time, he's not going to pardon anybody just like last time. Maybe he'll pardon himself preemptively, he'll pardon his people, he'll get a golden parachute. The rest of us, we are screwed. And this is why I said on Tucker and on other shows, you can't take the fight to the left and not finish it. When you go with the king, you can't miss. Because if you miss, the king cuts your head off. Like, and that's obvious. You go for the king, you can't miss, because if you fail, you stumble, they call down the guards, and you get executed. Your whole family gets executed. They burn down your village. Now for the second time. He's going for the seat of power, going for the permanent bureaucracy, going for the left, whatever you want to call it, really hard, and he's attacking them so viciously on social media, talking all this trash, and in the end, all he does is piss them off. All he does is make them angry, such that when they inevitably get back to power, they're going to attack us with a vengeance, and he's doing it all over again. And by the way,
what's the way out of this?
We have to win. Ed, we just have to win. There's no substitute.
Bro, I just
for
realized
Trump
I'm
has
gonna
to
be
turn
fucking
it around,
trapped.
and if he can't, then we need somebody in 2028. Everybody is ready to coronate Vance. Everybody is ready to crash other people like him. But everybody's saying like, oh, well, Vance is going to be the next president. It's not a negotiation. We need somebody in 28 who can carry the mantle of Trumpism, win, and finish it. Like, this is the American empire.
People don't seem to get it. Then they go, wait. They supported Trump 10 years ago and up until like 5 years ago. But now he's not. So how does he want Trump to succeed? You want him policy-wise to succeed, but you didn't support him to draw attention to what you thought was the problem so that you would hope he would succeed. I'll put words in your mouth, correct me. And so that's kind of how I see this. But you have to have an ultimate urgency right now. 1 year into this, folks, I agree with what Nick's saying. Regardless, to look at how much danger we're in. And if Trump doesn't succeed, J.D. Vance, doesn't matter how good a candidate he is or what a nice guy he is, they're just going to engage in election fraud and remove it.
Yep, and they did it in 2020, and they haven't done anything to fix it. And here's another thing. The next president will preside over the 2030 census. Whenever the next president gets in, you're going to have a census in 2030, and for people that don't know what that means, you don't just count up all the people, you then also apportion the congressional seats, the electoral votes. So whoever the next president is going to be extremely powerful, because then they're going to preside over that. Like right now, they're battling this out in California, this redistricting halfway through the decade. Whoever is president is going to get another shot at that in 2030, and then they'll determine for the following years how many electoral votes there are. So it does really come down to 28, and somebody needs to get in. And urgency is the word. We just don't have time.
Okay, fuck, that was crazy.
And people are just negotiating with themselves, saying, well, that's not practical, that's not realistic. well, we have to have reasonable expectations. No, I have unreasonable expectations. I'm unreasonable. And we want more. The base, America First, InfoWars, MAGA, like we want more than that.
Demanding our sons and daughters be brainwashed for transgenderism and leftist brainwashing. They demanded all this insane stuff. People gave it to them. We're just demanding common sense, liberty, and freedom, but we have to get aggressive. So I think it does go to the average populist, American first person conservative, needs to realize
the soldiers' backside are the weak point. Really? I didn't know that.
I'm a huge believer in we need a professional
I
class.
always hit them from the front, but
that have gone to college. We need people that have
it's kind of hard to get
jobs,
behind them, though. You know,
we need people to run for office. Isn't it
but
such
I
a
need to
sad
remember
state
this
that
because
you look
some
at
of
House of
the
Representatives
higher
and
levels
Senate,
is
and it appears
difficult for me
basically
to attack.
untouched by the Trump revolution. Trump won in 2016. It is now 2026 in a couple of weeks. You don't have literally one congressman that is MAGA. You don't have one senator that is MAGA. Because everyone that did exist is now gone. Matt Gaetz, Madison Cawthorn, Marjorie Greene, they're all gone. Lindsey Graham is going to have another term. John Thune is going to be the majority leader. Kevin McCarthy, Mike Johnson, these have been the leadership in the House. You don't even have one. You have 435 members, and you don't even have one MAGA Republican. So I really believe there's been a failure on the part of the America First base to get organized. There's a lot of talk about doing that, think tanks and candidates and all this stuff, and it just never materialized. And so who inherits the Republican Party after Trump leaves? Well, it's going to be the usual suspects. Who's going to run? I mean, J.D. Vance, of course, Marco Rubio, who ran the first time. What are going to be the big think tanks? Heritage Foundation, Club for Growth, Chamber
I
of
forgot
Commerce.
to get
this
the
is still where the
sap
money is
here.
coming from.
I think
So
we have sap here. I'm not
I
sure,
think that for people that are,
but I need to check.
For people that are animated by this, they got to get involved in politics. Young
I
people
totally
got to
agree.
get.
We're basically Rome in like 406, and the last Rome still all the power, the military, but they have these elites that were corrupt, couldn't face a problem, brought in too many illegals, all of it, and then they just couldn't organize at the end because it was just business as usual, and Rome fell in 410. I mean, I think 2028 is the number. Each election just gets more important from here on after, but we're basically already dead if there isn't a sense of urgency. And I just, that's why I get invited to Mar-a-Lago in the White House, and I'm not trying to act cool. It's just, I'm like, okay, what's the thing? Oh, I'm at a dinner with 20 people in Trump. I'm like, nah, I'm not going. It's like, I don't want to sit there about a funeral. Like, I'm on the Titanic, and the iceberg's 5 miles out. I'm like, can we change course? You can't. It's the captain's going to tell you how great you are. And eat some caviar. And I'm like, I don't want to eat caviar. I want him to get control of the wheel and avoid that iceberg. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with Nick Fuentes. Hour number 4, straight ahead. All right, there's so much to hit. We're going to get into the Islamic Jihad that's been declared, how big a threat it is it just a diversion from Israel? We're going to get into Candace Owens, who I like as a person, but I was forced to go investigate the stuff she was saying and doing, and I just didn't have to bring it to you. And Nick's got some stuff to talk about with that, but he wanted to briefly, and I think it's really important, and if he has more, we'll go to the next segment, on Brown University in Rhode Island and what's going on there. I don't know what the cover-up is, but clearly the cover-up's going on. Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, I saw this, obviously everybody saw it, this horrible mass shooting at Brown University, and of course, I haven't talked about it on my show too much because we really don't know what happened there. We don't know who the shooter is, we don't know their identity, motivation, anything like that. But the one thing that I saw that I covered on my show is, what is this response from the FBI? I see there's videos being uploaded of this FBI manhunt that's underway, and they got like a couple of dozen FBI agents out there literally kicking the snow around with their feet, with their hands in their pocket. And I saw that, and we've talked a lot about the Trump administration and where we'd like it to improve and where they're falling short and so on. And I said on my show the other night, I think the biggest area where they're falling short is where is the competence? It reminds me of when they did that military parade back in June, and they had people marching in the parade, holding drones up over their head, not even flying them with the actual remote control, flying through the air electronically, but holding them up in their hand, walking down the street. That was your big military demonstration. Department of War, America's back. Then you get this FBI First they blow the Charlie Kirk investigation. Now you have this mass shooter who's just gotten away. School shooter just got away, went into some building, shot a bunch of people in the face, literally walks away. They go, okay, well, rest assured, Kash Patel is on the case. The FBI is out there. We're going to do some good old-fashioned investigative reporting, or investigation, criminal investigation for that matter. They send out these FBI agents in the windbreakers, kicking the snow around. There's like 20 of them in a group, and they're kind of like walking around, looking up at the air, looking down at the ground. You're like, this is the same FBI of J. Edgar Hoover? This is the FBI of the United States of America? This is federal law enforcement? What is this? And so I think that's one of the greater disappointments, that it's just a clown show. And I'm just sitting here like, are other people watching the same movie and what a joke the country has become, what a joke the federal government has become? At the same time, by the way, this is
so we're lucky enough we found some of the stuff we needed, so that's good news.
These are people showing up.
I was able to find some of the flesh that we need here.
Out of their bedroom, throwing them in jail because they
a nice stack of it.
You had some like grandma, you had some, MAGA mom who was posting on Facebook, and they had people being marched into solitary confinement over this. Same FBI, by the way. Now you have somebody, it's a school shooter, somebody shoots Charlie Kirk in the neck, they can't even find the person. So, I saw that. I don't know what to say about the shooting itself. We don't really have any information. But I'm seeing these videos and I'm thinking that's really the story by itself. This is a country now where school shooters are getting away with it.
Oh, it looks like it broke one of the fences that we have here.
Might be a school shooter that got away with it. You've heard of like, oh, my neighbor was a serial killer and I never knew. My neighbor was a gangster and I never knew that. Now it's going to be my neighbor committed a school shooting, a mass murder, somehow got away with it. That's the country now. So, but that's anarcho-tyranny. That's the state of the country.
I need some
when
more
you have
wood.
A state of tyranny for law-abiding people, a state of tyranny, Orwellian surveillance, police state totalitarianism for a MAGA mom, for a grandma in the Capitol.
Yeah, that's how real communism or totalitarianism works is good people are oppressed, bad people are turned loose because they work for the state, and that's where we are.
Right. So I'd like to see that reversed. I want to see tyranny for the criminals and illegals and globalists and lobbyists, and I want to see freedom and anarchy for law-abiding people, taxpayers, patriots, Christians, but we're not getting it. So that's more of the same. I'd like to see somebody get caught in this thing.
60-second break, but wait till you hear this. We'll be right back. You got it. Well, Nick's been talking about this for months so live. We understand Trump has constitutional right. It's in our hemisphere. Venezuela has the tanks to go in. But that academically, technically, we said don't go in because the CIA and others will set you up in a quagmire. Rubio wants Cuba, Mexico, all of it, Colombia. And that's a lot to bite off there. There are already failed states that we own it, even if the leadership leaves. Well, Tucker Carlson, say what you want about him. He's got incredible sources. I know this guy is running for him. I love Tucker, but I think you can put it in the bank. He said it. So sometimes Trump may decide to pull back because of this. It's like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Bongino resigning by Christmas from the sources of Seraphin. It proved to be incredible. But then Seraphin's like, last night on the show, he goes, a special show, he goes, well, maybe he won't resign right away just to make us look wrong. Well, fine. If we stop a war, by getting them to jump the gun, fine. So here's the story on Infowars.com. Breaking: Tucker Carlson says member of Congress told him Trump to announce war on Venezuela during tonight's presidential address. So, wow. And here he is on Judge Andrew Napolitano's show just about an hour ago.
Is Trump going to start a war in Venezuela?
I don't know. I don't know when this program airs, the one that we're on right now. This takes 55.
So we're live now, and then it'll be posted immediately. So
so
now,
my sense is, I don't know the answer. I've certainly been on the phone a lot about it. I have no power. I'm a podcaster, but I'm very interested. And so here's what I know so far, which is that members of Congress agreed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nations at 9 o'clock by the president. Who knows? By the way, that will actually happen. I don't know. And I never want to overstate what I know, which is pretty limited in general. But a member of Congress told me that this morning. So that's what I know. My opposition to this, I'm sure if you oppose this, it'll be like, oh, you're a communist, which I'm not. My opposition to it comes from what I've learned from watching closely for the past 25 years since I've been assigned to cover all these stories, including in Iraq, Afghanistan. Like, I've watched, and there's not been a regime change effort that's benefited the United States or the world in 80 years that I'm aware of.
For some reason, this left side is different.
Trillions per regime change. It's always a black hole. So we already covered this earlier, but
Whatever, I don't care.
I think there is a good chance he'll definitely brag about where
These guys haven't even had any chickens. They need fucking food, I think.
He'll announce we're at war with them, but then just use that as the pressure to have Maduro leave.
I don't see any of the
I
eggs.
agree. I don't think it's an invasion. I don't think it's going to be a shock and awe. I think it'll be ground strikes, more pressure, maybe a new policy. And you're right. It'll be perhaps an ultimatum to get Maduro to resign. Because I think that ultimately they don't really want to go to war there. I think they want to get Maduro out through pressure only. So I agree with you. I think that's where it's headed.
But they don't have 3 aircraft carriers there for no reason.
Well, but do they have 3? I think they just have the carrier strike group. But this is a classic Trump strategy. He did this in North Korea, too. Back in 2017, they deployed actually 2 carrier strike groups to the Sea of Japan and talked about fire and fury, and my button is bigger and it works, and we're going to do things to you. This is brinksmanship. And I think that this is your typical gunboat diplomacy, which is you literally put a giant gunship off the coast of a country, you start blowing stuff up, and then you say, this is the United States of America. You have 24 hours to leave. So you're right. I mean, there is a reason they have the warships there, and that is for a demonstration of force. It's a gesture which reinforces deterrence. Deterrence is really the foundation of everything. Wars are only fought because of miscalculations. And the point of doing a carrier strike group is to say, we have the assets, we're willing to use the assets, and if we do that, then you lose. There's no scenario where you win, it is over, so surrender or die. And that's where someone like Maduro in Venezuela says, all right, uncle, you can, you will, I guess I'll just take my deal and leave. So I think that's really the play there. I still think that there's going to be kinetic action. I think there's a good possibility of ground strikes. It will definitely escalate, but I don't think this is going to be some sort of full-scale.
Absolutely. Just to be clear, they had 2 aircraft carriers there. They pulled them out, put the Gerald Ford, the biggest and newest in, and they have 5 or 6 of the big amphibious Marine and Navy smaller carriers. But just technically, there's a lot of ships there.
Yeah, it's the biggest force posture in the Caribbean ever, I think is what they said. It's more warships that have ever been deployed in the Southern Command, field of command than ever in the United States. So, and Trump has said that on Truth Social. So, I mean, you're certainly right. It's a massive force posture, and it's definitely going to be used for something military. I just don't think it'll be a full-scale ground invasion. That's just not enough assets, actually. I don't think they have enough personnel for something like that because the chain of command is dispersed. If they're going to do a kind of effects-based operation, they're going to go for command and control. You're talking about invading multiple cities. You're talking about jungle terrain, huge population. You need more than 20,000 troops. They have 12,000, 20,000
administrators to take over Venezuela. It's the size of
Exactly.
Texas.
Damn, they eat the seeds
So
already?
that's not an invasion force, but I think there's a possibility of kinetic strikes on the ground, even though there might not be an invasion.
All right, shifting gears. I watch your show a lot. You mainly cover policy and issues, so do I.
What the fuck happened to the seeds I just had? I just had a whole fucking gang of seeds. Right there.
she really doesn't know how to create a theory, conjecture, a postulate. She doesn't know how those things work. And you're right. If there's going to be some sort of grand conspiracy, you compartmentalize it. You don't get 2,000 people in a room from France, Israel, Egypt, the admin, this and that, law enforcement agency, and Turning Point, and say, all right, everybody, so we're going to plant the explosive microphone, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to, you compartmentalize it, and you probably have a handful of people on a need-to-know basis. Maybe it's one faction of one intel agency. That's typically how these things unfold. But this is a person who is really just looking at anything based on other heuristics, like, well, Charlie wanted to audit Turning Point, so it's a cover-up of a money thing. And, oh, there were some foreign people with foreign phones in the audience. Oh, it's a foreign intelligence conspiracy. And just kind of going based on things that we've seen in the past, similar patterns, putting them all together into, I don't even know what the theory is at this point. And it's like you say,
pattern recognition. You're almost being too kind here. There was sophistication. I think she is having somebody advisor. The sophistication, kind of the Q 2.0, esoteric, gnostic level of it. Or maybe she's just herself has so maybe she was projecting it on. I didn't see some genius there.
well, she's certainly good at what she does. It's a soap opera, and it's serial. Every day we're going to check in and hear about the crazy new thing. And you're right, there is something maybe sophisticated and Gnostic about it. I look at this guy who's been supporting her, John Mappin. I don't know why nobody's talking about John Mappin, the Scientologist, the heir to the jeweler that creates the crown jewels for the British royal family. He allegedly introduced her and her husband. He's been so supportive, she retweets him. He's writing letters to her. He was best friends with Charlie Kirk. His wife is from Russia. I don't know why nobody's talking about that guy. No one's talking about George Farmer. They all met through Turning Point UK. So you have Turning Point USA. She met her husband through Turning Point UK. She made a bag off of Turning Point USA and Turning Point UK. So there's definitely something suspicious going on there. Maybe a foreign intelligence play of its own. Talking about the French and the French president and the French president's wife and France's involvement in this. So there could be some sophistication there. And I would say to the extent that there is a conspiracy, no one's talking about the Mormon Mafia. I don't believe that there's some grand conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. I think, like you say, it's Tyler Robinson. And when you saw him make his court appearance, he's wearing a trans tie. And why would he be the patsy? If they're supposed to be, if this is about Israel or some other thing, why do you pick some hick-lib, white guy, pro-trans activist? Why would he be the patsy? And where are his parents? Where are the people, like, trying to defend him? It doesn't even make any sense. To the extent that there is a cover-up, it would be about the Mormon Mafia, because the killing happened in Utah. Turning Point is a Mormon organization. It's Utah Public Safety that's doing the investigation. I never even heard of that on her show. She never even talks about that. Instead, she's talking about her dreams and beekeepers and, almost everything else. So,
By the way, I'm not bashing Mormons in general. I don't break it for everybody. If you know about intelligence, study politics, the Mormons have percentage the highest number of law enforcement and intelligence. So all you're saying is, in Utah, that area, it's a zone where you could definitely be wanting to change the outcome of something to it.
Exactly. And it's strange that it happened there because that is a zone of control where they would have a lot of influence, where they have like a mafia-like kind of stranglehold. And that was never brought up, which is interesting. And I think that it's very comparable to QAnon. This is like QAnon 2.0, where all these people have been whipped up and deputized, and it's basically just destroyed people's faith in anything. It's sort of interesting. After her meeting with Eric Kirk, she did her show yesterday, and all the top comments were saying, Candace got the call, Candace made a deal, we can't trust her. But I saw many of the comments also said, now I'm just done with politics. They're fatigued. They're literally fatigued, and they are
I researched
so
Vineberry from the
so
Ashlands today
wound up and twisted by
at
this
my
whole thing.
base.
Now that Candace
Once
is
the
backing
vines
down
have
and
grown,
walking back
they
off
will
the
also
reins,
produce
now they're saying, well,
fruit
I'm just
in
done
my
with
cellar.
politics because I don't know what to believe. There's no one that's telling
Vineberry.
the truth.
I
And
never
so
even heard of
there
this
you have it.
Vineberry.
There is the proof in and of
The only
itself.
thing I
It's just
seen with the
destroying
vines
the
is
confidence of the people in any kind of conspiracy theory, in any kind of alternative media.
the vines
Because
that
if
you
you
put
have
on your
alternative
base.
media
I got the seeds from the from one of the sellers.
Then people say, well, you know what? Really, this is just too complex or too corrupt. I'm just done with all of it.
I never seen a Vineberry. Maybe this is a rare loot from the trolls.
And that's exactly it. You know, we are people that are actually trying to change the country. And then you get these spectacles that come up. This is what this is a big, giant spectacle. It is a black hole. It's like you say, it's a never-ending soap opera. And it's about science fiction. It's like a science fiction thriller. It's like a movie from the 70s. And it's actually doing damage to people that are trying to reform politics. And the problem is a lot of these people, they just don't read. They don't read, they don't care. Candace Owens read one book. She read that book, Chaos, by like Robert O'Neill or Tom O'Neill, something like that. She read that one book. She kind of knows something's up with Israel, and that's all she needed to know. And now she's whipped up into this thing where everything is connected to everything. It's Brigitte Macron and the beekeepers and people wearing maroon shirts.
Let's be clear. I mean, I saw her like a year ago. I just learned about the USS Liberty.
Yes.
And then I had people saying, how dare you not cover it? I only wrote books and made films about it 20 years ago. You know, and I'm not in a competition. I like Candace. But it is actually true what you're saying. Isn't she emblematic, though, of people waking up? Your fire alarm's going off. You don't know where the fire is at, or if it's a false alarm. You wake up, you smell smoke, you still got to find it. I think they're all woken up. And so now they don't have any real context or depth. People, well, you're 26, you've been doing this 10 years. You were 12 into this stuff just like I was. You know, 20 years or whatever, or 18 years. And we're not
Spoiler alert.
here. It's just that.
Oh, it's the Ashlands. Okay.
That I knew 5 years ago. And the Alex Jones 5 years ago was pretty smart. And the Alex Jones
Oh, wow.
was more informed than the average woke, patriot right now.
Yeah, I looked the video up
The problem is I have all this knowledge,
yesterday
I give complex answers.
when I went to get food, and I heard them say something about this,
They got spun by the media, the Jones attacks point test.
like some
Tucker, I didn't
fruit
say your name, so somebody
in that area.
I mean, literally had a post like a week ago, hey, Chernobyl's leaking, this is a problem. And like a third of the comments were, cover up for the Jews, cover up for the Jews. It's like, if an earthquake happens in LA, I'm talking about the earthquake, it's not about Jews. I'm all about criticizing Israel and Jews doing stuff.
Oh, the fucking guys.
That's a micro-
God
it's
damn
not
it.
just those people. They've woken up, they've got informed about that, but that's their lane. And so to them, that's the only knowledge they have. Does that make sense?
100%, and I've seen this so many times because I operate more in this wacky space or whatever that does fixate on Jews, Israel, whatever. And it's like a mental psychosis. It's like people can't handle it. They take one red pill and they say, "Oh, there's this truth, there's this esoteric truth, there's this hidden reality." But when they have no deep background, they have no general knowledge, they don't actually have a practical experience with this stuff. It goes off in all these different directions. People start to talk about, well, that means the earth is flat, and that means that the shadow president, and that means that the Khazar Mafia, that's really what it's all about. And they go down to all these different rabbit holes, all these different red herrings, because you're right, without context, without that sort of grounding, and context is really key. You do need a ton of background information to understand how we got here. It's thousands of years of history, theology, philosophy, politics. You need to have some grasp on a lot of these subjects. You really need to be read wide and deep into these subjects to begin to contextualize it. And like you say, okay, we're doing a show about the Liberty. I just found out about it last year. Oh, and coincidentally, now everything is literally everything is Israel. Charlie Kirk is Israel. The Bondi shooting's Israel. Browns is this, that, and the other. Now me, I'm going to say it's Israel, let's say 60% of the time. Now that's not good enough because the people that got red pilled 2 minutes ago, well, they know it's 110% of the time. And unfortunately, all that does is discredit the people that are actually doing the hard work, actually doing the research, actually reading the books, doing the hard work to figure these things out, that are in touch with reality. I saw a lot of people say, well, it's the Jews every other time, so it's the Jews this time. That's like the gambler's fallacy. You know, like these are just basic logic problems that people are committing because they deliver Domino's pizzas for most of their life. Now they're a red pill savant or something. So I'm totally with you.
There was a taboo against criticizing Israel. It was used to take free speech around the world. Israel's been heavily involved in so much bad stuff. We cover it. And it's good that that taboo's gone.
Okay, we need
it's
this
totally
other
safe
wood.
now to attack Israel all I want. But I only do it when I actually see something real. And again, it's the constant frustration of like Chinese water torture, where I'm like, hey, you know, China is making a move here. Why are you covering up for the Jews? And it's like, no, there's other things going on. It doesn't take away from the Great Awakening to foreign influence, and all that's really healthy. But exactly, people cannot then become lunatics that only know one thing. And you know, it's like when you said, let me see the evidence Israel killed Kirk. And they go, oh, you got money. You got a $7,000 check. But it's also about like an elitism. Like, we're holier than thou. We're going to say actual intellectuals that are historically informed. Because, you know, you've debated on my show some of the best out there. You've won those debates. I know this stuff as much as you do, or more in some cases, but I don't even say it as good as you do on the foreign policy. I mean, you're knocking it out of the park. But these guys just say, nope, Nick's not good either, and make themselves feel good like they just got on the field with Pat Brady or Michael Jordan in their prime and beat them.
That fool got hurt.
Literally just saying,
That fool got hurt and
I'm
ran.
better than Michael
That's
Jordan.
crazy.
No, you're not. And it's not about your criticism of us. It's about you growing up and being men, and not just sitting around and claiming you're good, everybody else is bad. We'll be right back. All right, I want to be 100% clear for everybody that seems to understand this. Here's the headline yesterday. They got it picked up all over national TV. I can't lose track of it. I don't even really focus on that because I'm always legislation or geopolitical. But what I said, not yesterday but the day before, is all over the place with the headlines: Jones turns against Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes because of their Nazism. Which is, again, not attacking them. They're not Nazis. It's lies within lies. And they show like a 2-minute clip of me talking about the people that said, with no reservation, that the attack over the weekend in Sydney against the Jews celebrating Hanukkah wasn't a Muslim attack, and that it was, you know, Israeli Mossad. Now, has Israel staged false flags? Yeah, we've covered it ad nauseum. Stand down.
Man, fuck off, dude.
Affair, U.S.S. liberty. But no, you've got thousands of imams saying they're going into jihad now. This is the phase. They quote the Quran, how Muhammad took over Medina, and after that launched his attack. It's a formula. And so my issue is this. The politically correct groups you've seen, I can play montages that are hours long. Whites are inherently evil. Catholics are inherently evil. Christians are inherently evil. The family's evil. The nuclear family's evil. But there's a lot of leftist Jewish groups funding it. A lot of Americans, others get mad at that. It is healthy to criticize them. It should not be a sacred cow. It should not be a taboo. I just simply don't want to be somebody that lies about it and then uses it again as a black hole total diversion. So I've always said, how dare you have Nick Fuentes on back when I was being deplatformed, you know, over it. And that is like, you can't criticize him when he's mild compared to what's taught in the universities about how the West needs to die, everybody needs to die. But then there's the issue. I can play you hundreds of new videos, we already did the last few days, of in the U.S., in Europe, in Australia. Kill the Jews, kill the Christians, murder them, them marching around the Melbourne Cathedral, thousands of Muslims very threateningly, attacking Christian displays, truck attacks, all of it getting covered up. Cops getting stabbed in Washington State by people screaming Allah Akbar, doesn't even hit the national news. So Nick said a few weeks ago on my show, he said, yeah, I think Europe's got a big Muslim problem, which is true. There's 3 times more of them over there than here. But he said, in the U.S., it's really a red herring for Israel. Well, it's true that Israel lobby uses the threat of Islam to distract from itself. But that's like saying somebody burns down your house, or burns down the business next door to a bank to divert the cops while they rob the bank. It doesn't mean the restaurant didn't just get burned down. So it's 2 different things. So I'd like you to elaborate on that and actually give us your take on it, because if you study the Quran, it's a military takeover manual. You have the Muslim Brotherhood that's allied with Obama and the Democrats and Starmer and the deep state in their larger plan. You got the UAE and Saudi Arabia who have all their own issues that have been warning about that group because that's their enemy. But if you look at terrorism historically, it's like 90% out of the Muslim Brotherhood. So my point is that, yeah, it's not existential yet here, except you have the same alliances with the left, with Islam, and so with that combination, and then as the foot soldiers, so what if they're only 5% of the population or whatever? That as a motivated group that vote how they're told, donate how they're told, the Somalis, 8 million stolen, we know of now, is that it's cancer. So, and so I'm not trying to dunk on you and say, admit you're wrong. Elaborate on it. I get your point about it being used by Israel as a distraction, but then I get all this criticism constantly every time I talk about Islam, saying, why are you covering up for Israel or whatever? And to me, I just cover any foreign powerful thing trying to take over. So whereas Israel has organization, money, control, manipulation, very sophisticated, with the Muslims, they've got a caveman book, but when humans are willing to follow an order, we're powerful. And so, I mean, I do see it as one of the main threats. So where do you see this? What's your actual views on this?
Well, my actual view on the whole situation is, of course, we want to live in a Christian country. We want to live in a country with Christian government and mostly Christian people. And I'm not in favor of bringing Muslims in as refugees from wars or even for that matter as immigrants and setting up these enclaves. I look at, for example, the Somalis in Minneapolis. I don't know that any patriotic person can say that that Minnesota, which is a land of like Swedes and Norwegians, Finnish, that this is going to turn into an enclave of Somalians wearing hijabs, and that's all the kids in the schools and all the signs are in Somalian, the mayor is speaking Somalian. I get all that. I guess I would just say, when is the last time there's even been a Muslim attack in the United States? It has to have been years. And in the meantime, we've had all kinds of other attacks from Antifa, people that hate ICE, from transgenders. There's an assortment of threats these days, and it's not to minimize it, but it's to say, we live in a time of violent fanaticism. And even when you look at the demographic numbers, I guess I would just say, what exactly is the threat? And people might say, well, it's obvious, it's terrorism. And okay, yeah, that's valid. I mean, there's certainly terrorism. But for example, this guy at Bondi Beach, that's in Australia, not America, firstly. But secondly, he was known to law enforcement. He was known to law enforcement specifically as someone who is connected to an ISIS terror cell. And so my question is more, this is frequently the case, these people that commit these acts of terrorism, even that Afghan that committed the shooting recently here in the United States, he was CIA, right, exactly, he was CIA, he worked with the U.S. military. So it's like all these people that are committing the attacks, they're all in bed with the government or known to the government. Maybe we just have the government do a better job of sniffing this stuff out. I mean, there's a lot of Muslims.
No, I respect what you just said. I don't think terror is the threat. They do that once they get a big enough control of a town to push you out. That's in the Quran. And it's Medina takeover. He's supposed to do it. That's when they read that and they do that. It's not just random stabbing the things the imam tells them to do it. It's mujahideen. The real threat is they now say, we failed taking over Europe.
Excuse me.
We're going to vote ourselves in. We're going to access the war chest and take over that way. So that's the problem, is if you get up to 5-10%, look at Europe, they're a swing vote that goes with the left almost 100% of the time. So I don't see the terror as the threat. I see them not being able to help themselves, some of the Orthodox Muslims that are doing it, as them not being able to help themselves and jumping the gun. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I agree with you about Europe because that's where they're mostly concentrated. But here in the United States, it's just such a small fraction of the population. I don't consider it in that pantheon of major threats. I view it as totally secondary because the major threat with immigration is India. India sending these like people by the hundreds of thousands here. And they are true colonists because they will take over an entire business. You get one Indian in the business, they hire all people from their caste from India. And then in 5 years, the whole company's India.
I mean, I, on average, like Indian people, okay? Don't dislike them for who they are, but I know the history, right? And I saw this number about a month ago, and did a deep dive on it for like 3 hours. It's worse than they said. It's like a Breitbart video. Pull the Breitbart animation of it. 70% of the H-1B visas to the U.S. are from India, and something like 85% are from one province who came here 50 years ago, bought hotels, bought gas stations, and it's a mafia where they have to send the money back, and then they're big on paying off politicians. But it's true, folks. Any Indian business that they do the bankruptcy thing, they're because they'll work the system. You go to the airport now, there's like 20 Indians that are young in wheelchairs. They're like, well, why couldn't I go in front of the line and be pushed? It was legal. I just say I'm disabled. And it's stereotypical, but it is happening. But it's that particular tribe, particular caste, is the vast majority of Indians coming here, and they're literally, yeah, let's play this report with audio in a minute. They literally grease the skids. So you're absolutely right that these are tribal groups. Like we think the Somalis are an issue because they're tribal and do what they're told and controlled. We're all taught like Italians, which is really Sicilians were a mafia. This is amateur compared to the Indians. So you're dead on about this. Let's roll this short clip.
Know from decades of government data that H-1Bs overwhelmingly go to men arriving from India. And not only do they go from men arriving from India, they come from one area in India, one small area in India. So this one, if you believe that the H-1B is bringing in the best and brightest from around the world, how is it even possible that this one region in India is producing 7 in 10 of the world's geniuses that we're bringing in on the H-1Bs?
And it gets worse than that. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wanted to back what you're saying. Yeah, India.
Yeah, so in terms of immigration and like a demographic takeover, it's Indians, it's Chinese, it's Mexican, Venezuela. To me, just in terms of the numbers, those are the biggest ones coming here. And then in terms of political influence, I mean, you're right that Muslims are in bed. Some of these Muslim organizations are in bed with the Democrats. But again, I fall back on for the Democratic Party. It's like Michael Bloomberg. It's Reid Hoffman. It's like it's all pro.
That's another question. Why are the Jews the dominant group, along with Catholic Charities, shipping in illegals to the West?
Well, I think that Jewish people, they benefit as a group the more multicultural that America becomes. It's a very simple formula, which is that if America's all white and all Christian, Jews stick out like a sore thumb, and it's easy to segregate them and easy to discriminate against them. If America's completely diverse, and there's all different types of people, and we're liberal and tolerant and pluralistic, well, then they're just a group among other groups. So this is just a strategy. Because, of course, in Israel, they want homogeneity. They want the country to be all Jewish. They want Netanyahu to be their king. You know, they are aggressive militarily. That's how they are when they're the majority. When they're in the minority, they want America to be as liberal and tolerant and pluralistic as possible. So that's why 80% of them are voting Democrat. That's why their billionaires are putting money behind the Democratic Party. And so that's why I would say that it's really these other groups that are the bigger issue. And don't get me wrong, I don't want Muslims influencing the country. I don't want Muslims pouring across the border. But in terms of if your problem is foreign lobbying, Democrat power players, clannish behavior, ethnic enclaves, you got all these other groups you got to worry about that just in terms of the numbers are more pernicious. And that's not because I'm like infatuated with Muslims. If we were living in Europe, I would be Tommy Robinson. If we were in Europe, I would be saying, yeah, Muslims, they're doing their call to prayer. This is a huge issue. They got to go. But we don't live in Europe. We live here. So I think we just have different problems. Because America's separated by an ocean from the Middle East in a way that Europe is not. So they pour into Europe over a land bridge and over a very small, strait in the sea. And then they're in Europe. Yeah, go ahead.
So let me ask you this question. You seem overly, or somewhat optimistic. I'm going to say overly, and I'm optimistic as well. Separate from Trump, populism rising, the West rising, Eastern Europe rising. What futures do you see? Or sometimes I see you see optimistic, sometimes you're not. Regardless, where do you see the future going?
Well, there's cataclysm that's imminent. War with China, economic collapse, this debt crisis is going to reset the currency. But I'm optimistic because the young men seem to have woken up. And some people call me an accelerationist for saying this. I really think I'm just someone who thinks in terms of second and third order consequences. Even let's say for Europe, as the reason I'm excited about Muslims is that let's game it out. Okay, Muslims take over Europe. Eventually that radicalizes all the white people, even the liberals. Because liberals are going to start to say, well, we want feminism and we want gay rights and we want to have a general climate of licentiousness, and Muslim rule is not going to be conducive to that. So on a long enough timeline, you create enough Muslims in Europe, and yeah, there is like civil war conditions, but that makes the Europeans become who they are. And I'm not saying we should do that. I'm not saying let's roll the dice. I'm saying you can kind of forecast out how that will play out, and you can see how Muslims being a very imminent and apparent threat is actually going to galvanize resistance. And I view America similarly, which is to say that as America becomes more diverse, as it starts to fall apart, the young men are going to actually be galvanized by these things. That's why I've always said America first is inevitable, because if what we are saying is true,
I think I also need to
country's gonna get
AFK
a lot
for a
worse.
second.
But people are going to change their behavior. People
I need to do something, but I don't want to end the stream.
And so
So I think I'm going to try to do this quickly,
the cost to benefit
if
ratio
possible.
of engaging in politics, of being a radical, being, let's say, pro-white, pro-American, pro-Christian, it's going to change. 20 years ago, you didn't want to be a racist because it was such a high social cost, and people said, well, why do we care about race? And it was easy to say that because race wasn't really a problem. We lived in a country that was still mostly white, and the diversity had not set in yet, and the demographic change was not felt. And so people said, hey, man, this is like a big, happy, white country with some non-white people. Who cares if they cause some problems or they're a little rude? It's not a big deal. Okay, 30 years down the line, 40, 50 years down the line, whites are the minority. Stacey Abrams is president. She's taking money from white people to give to non-white people. Like, we're at the end of a gun, we're at the end of a spear. Then people are going to start to say, wait a second, we need to look out for each other. We need to band together. So you can sort of see how the only way out is through. So I'm pessimistic in the short term. These systems and these the ways of doing things that have been the way they are for a long time, they can't go on. It's not sustainable. There will be a hard reset. There will be a true revolution in every domain of society. On the other side of that, there is an opportunity to make things better. It's not inevitable that we actualize it, but there is an opportunity that when everything comes apart, when things get really heated and hot, if the right wing has the numbers and the organization and the discipline, we can take advantage of it, and maybe we can then control the future.
Well, what you're saying is true. I mean, after World War II, we had the baby boom. It happens in every country. When things are really good, nobody has children. Elon Musk talked about Rome was studied in Carthage. Their birth numbers are declining massively. But they have this big war and almost get defeated, and they have this big giant boom, and then 300 years of a golden era. And this is a fact. So we're not calling for hard times, but we're in hard times. We have to bypass the brainwashing where they put you in a hard time and convince you it's a good time. We have to admit we're in this fight and start thriving now. Here's a clip of Elon.
In most civilizations was a low birth rate. An extended period of prosperity seems to cause birth rates to plummet. And it's somewhat counterintuitive. When a society is under stress, birth rates increase. So if you look at, say, ancient Rome, the birth rates were super high when they were fighting the Carthaginians, and Rome's very life was at stake. Birth rates were all-time high. After they defeated Carthage and ruled the Mediterranean, the birth rates plummeted, and to such a degree that Julius Caesar even tried to pass, laws like in 50 BC or something like that, to give an incentive for any Roman citizen that would have a second or third child. So they were having birth rate issues in 50 BC, which is pretty wild. And that was also true of really basically every civilization throughout history. So how do you avoid this birth rate collapse?
And I've seen the studies. There's like 5 or 6 trees. One of them's out in California. Different species around the world that are in arid areas where they're up high and they're not getting hardly any nutrients. But because it's so bad, the trees are like 2,000 years old. But they've done studies with the same species of tree, plenty of water, plenty of nutrient, grows fast, gets big, dies quick. So it really is true that we have to recognize we're in crisis. And I'm not putting you on the spot. You're 26. You're still super young. But I had, a couple kids by 26. Nick, you're under crisis. You're under pressure. You need to marry Cash Patel's girlfriend. I'm joking. You need to marry Laura Logan. No, not Laura Logan.
I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to get sued.
I'm sorry, Laura Logan. Is awesome. And so is Laura Loomer. You should marry Laura Loomer.
Well, she just got engaged. Did you see?
No.
It was just announced today. She got engaged. Alex, they're taking them from me. First Candace Owens, now Laura Loomer. There's none left. There's no women left for me. All my girlfriends are being stolen by the turning point.
Seriously,
You gotta fix me up. You gotta fix me up with somebody. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, who's she marrying?
I don't know. Some idiot, I'm sure. I mean, I don't even know what that's all about. But yeah, there was maybe a future where me and Laura Loomer had some kids, moved to Israel, converted and all that. I'd be at the Hanukkah party at the White House. But yeah, no, I guess she had another guy waiting in the wings for her because I didn't step up. I didn't give her the ring.
Well, I'm going to be honest and go ahead and break this news here right now. Laura Loomer is my daughter. I'm not
Wow,
joking.
I could have married into the family.
Nick, let's be serious. Did you know I'm actually the son of Benjamin Netanyahu?
I can see the resemblance.
Now, the funny thing is, they're going to take that clip out and say it's real. I've joked before. All right, we're almost out of time. There's so many other big issues. I could talk to you all day. Nick J. Fuentes on Rumble. What is it like? Because, I mean, it's not hype that your show's gigantic with the top ones out there. You're 26, and all this stuff's going on. And the establishment's done, whatever establishment it was. This is definitely, people are not politically correct now. It's only getting crazier from here. What is it like to be the center of that zeitgeist?
Well, I feel the weight of the moment. For a long time, I was doing this, and it was just fun. It was a lot of fun and didn't have a lot of responsibility. I was just saying what I felt. And now that it's really coming down to 28, and there's questions about where the country's going to go, and maybe I have a real impact on that, real influence, I sort of feel the weight of the responsibility now, the risks, the danger. People are looking to me for guidance. So I take it seriously. But it feels good because it shows that things can change. A big part of what was...
It shows the people have power. Everybody thinks they're powerless. You're a regular guy. Your pedigree's clear. Look how big effect you've had.
Yeah, and I love what you say, because sometimes we talk about this and you say that the real trick that the devil pulls is to convince people that there's no good in the world, that nothing can change, give up, it's hopeless, no one is doing the right thing. And I've lived it. I've lived it. I was just some 18-year-old college kid, and I was left for dead, and my career should have been dead. But I just persevered. I just kept doing what I do. I kept just telling the truth. I think for people like you and others being supportive along the way, it turned into something that is now having an impact. And there's a million people out there that are like you and like me. They want what's best for the country. They have talents. They have ability. They have character. And I'm just calling on those people to just take that first step. Make the right decision. Start today. Tell the truth. Do something for the country. Be a patriot. We actually can change our destiny. Ultimately, it's in God's hands. But we can be used by God to do the right thing. And I think that, hopefully that's an inspiration. If somebody like me could do it, other people can do it also. Because I started with very little. And I have a lot of defects and flaws, as we all do. But it just starts with, are you going to be a part of the solution, or are you going to be a part of the problem?
Well, what the power structure hates is, if they can censor us, they can twist what we said, take it out of context. They hate people actually hearing what we actually say versus what they claim we said out of context. But people should check out your show. Are you going to do a live stream tonight?
Yes, I think I will do a show tonight.
What, like after Trump's speech?
Yes, yeah, probably. So I know you're going live. You'll cover that, and then I'll go live after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna at least be on with Ben, and I may do a simulcast like 7:30 tonight through it. So we'll be watching. Nick, you're hard to get a hold of on the phone. He tell you some other stuff, so I'm gonna try to. I'm off in like a minute. I'm gonna call you about 5 minutes real quick. All right?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Great interview. Thank you. All right.
All right, sorry about that. I'm almost done.
Intentionally.
Shit, almost there. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Wednesday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story, we're talking all about this primetime address. Why? Just why? Why are we subjected to more garbage? President Trump today spoke at 8 o'clock, prime time, from the White House. Everybody was anticipating a declaration of war with Venezuela. Clearly that was leaked intentionally as misdirection. And we all tuned in and we watched the speech. And there was no declaration of war. There is no war. Instead, we got more crap, more trash. 20 minutes of nonsense, poorly delivered, rambling, stuttering. He can't even read. And we'll talk about it tonight. I'm sure you watched it. Instead of getting a declaration of war against Venezuela, we got 20 minutes of self-promotion. Defensive speech talking about how Trump really is doing a great job and the economy's not so bad and things are going to get better eventually. I don't even think there was actually an announcement other than that the military is getting a Christmas bonus. Okay. And that was really about it. So we'll talk tonight all about this address. I thought it was a total flop. Such a joke, just like everything else in this administration. I don't know how anybody defends it. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk tonight about Dan Bongino, the deputy FBI director who today announced his resignation. It just gets better and better. And Dan Bongino was apparently forced out because of his contentious relationship with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. At least that's what they're saying. It's also relevant that tomorrow the Epstein files are officially going to be released as ordered by the U.S. Congress. Maybe it's got something to do with that. Who knows? But we'll talk about that too. Your golden age, everybody. It's so golden that you need a primetime address. Well, I'll do you one better. We are living in such good times. It is such a golden age that you have to literally trick the media into paying attention to you to defend how golden it really is. That's how awesome. That's how bored we are with winning. You have to trick the media and the public into giving a damn and watching your little speech to defend your record with nothing other than political rhetoric. That's how good it is. We need to be reminded. We need to be told. And nobody would even care. We have to be tricked into being told how great it really is. Wow. Loving it. So we'll talk about that tonight. Should be a pretty good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store, Fuentes.store. We have our America First hats. We have a number of brand new t-shirt designs, which I'll show you. We have them on hangers now. We have this one, I Am America. That one's backwards. America First. We got the Wang Half shirt. I'm not going to show you all of them, but you can check it out. Fuentes.store. And I think it's a little late to be getting them for Christmas, but if you want a late Christmas present, these make for a really great late belated Christmas present. Should have gotten them earlier. But that's Fuentes.store. Subscribe to the website, AmericaFirst.plus, $15 a month. You get access to the archive of the show, MP3 audio-only files. You also get, with the $100 a month subscription, access to an exclusive group chat with me. I was live in the group chat reacting to the speech that we all saw, chopping it up with the niggas in the live chat, in the group chat. And that's at AmericaFirst.plus. With that, we're going to dive in. I got to tell you, this might be the last show this week because I am very sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but my throat is so sore. My whole body hurts. I wasn't even going to do a show. I didn't even feel like it. I didn't even feel like getting out of bed. But I said, fuck it. I'll do a show, fine. Because we've been having good viewership, and there's this big stupid speech tonight. So I said, fuck it, all this shit. I'll do a damn ass show tonight. Fine. I'll do a show. I don't even feel like it, but fine. I'll do a show. Not that anyone cares. I'll do a show. So I don't feel good, and I'm doing a show because I'm not sure if I'm gonna be okay tomorrow or Friday. I went to New York. I didn't get invited to a stupid party, but I got sick anyway. I didn't even get invited to the dumb party, but I still got sick. What a load of crap.
I gotta learn how to make tamales, man.
I'm here while I'm still well enough to literally physically be able to do the show. Here I am.
Tamales is like a Mexican food.
But I'm here. Not that anyone even cares. Not that anyone has even bothered to pay attention. I'm here doing the show, and it's fine. And here's the other thing. So I'm just kidding. But here's the other thing. I was going to do a show. I was so excited. We're going to talk about, all right, war in Venezuela. All right, finally something cool. Finally something interesting. No. Rug pulled again. Fell for it again. Serves you right. Trusted a Jew. Dad, Donald Trump is a fucking Jew. And I'm depressed now. So, this is what you get. For, they say, got what we voted for, said Andrew Torba. Got what we voted for, said Andrew Isker. Loaded. BS. Anyway, so I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow and Friday because I'm really sick and miserable about it. But I'm here now. And so we're going to soldier on. I'm a trooper. I'm a real soldier. I'm going to soldier on and do the show anyway, even though I really don't feel like it. I also did Alex Jones this afternoon. If you missed my appearance, we're going to upload it on the Rumble channel, and it'll be on the archive website, AmericaFirst.plus. I already did 2 hours. I did 2 hours with Alex Jones. We got to catch up a little bit. Always great talking to the GOAT, Alex Jones. And we talked a little bit about everything. We talked about the Vanity Fair piece with Susie Wiles. We talked about Venezuela, the speech. Talked about the Trump administration. And so you can hear it already. And as always, he's a little more optimistic about things maybe than I am. He's always asking me, how can we turn this around? How can Trump get it back in gear? And I got to tell him, it's over. It's totally over. It's happening exactly how I predicted it would. Remember, nobody believed me, nobody cared, nobody listened. Everybody was whipped up, everybody wanted to work on the campaign, everybody wanted to get in the admin, everybody wanted to be a part of it, because they know nothing. They know nothing. And they don't care. They don't care about what we're doing here. And last year, this is what I said, because we need a little reality check, okay? It's almost Christmas, so it's time to air out the grievances and put everyone on blast. I said last year, Trump is going to win, And then he is going to sell us down the tubes to Silicon Valley, to the Israel lobby, and Wall Street. I said, here's what we're going to get. We're going to get tax cuts for Wall Street. We're going to get investment for AI. We're going to get a war with Iran. Israel's going to get the West Bank. We're not getting mass deportations. I said, that just ain't going to happen. And it's not going to happen because inflation is persistently high. Inflation will be persistently high because we are in stagflation territory. You cannot deport your cheap labor source working in hospitality, working in agriculture, working elsewhere when you already have inflation and plan to implement across-the-board tariffs. It's not going to work. And I said that last year, and nobody was listening, nobody cared, but that is exactly what has happened. That's one. Two, I told you, even during the transition, I said we are not going to have as much time as you think. I said what will happen in this lame duck presidency is that Trump is going to have a year, maybe a year and a half, to make things happen. He's going to have a year and a half when it is still hot off the presses, still fresh off his victory in the actual election. He's going to have a year and a half relatively unopposed to actually get stuff done. I said, but then immediately in 2026, they're going to start campaigning for the midterms. And they're going to be so distracted, and they're going to try to moderate that they will not be able to achieve anything. And then we're going to lose the House anyway. We're going to lose the House because we only won it by 4 votes in the actual election year. Running as an unpopular incumbent, you're almost certainly going to lose. Once you lose that, it's not going to get better with Democrats controlling the House. Very quickly, we proceed into 2027, where J.D. Vance is going to be running for president. Because other Republicans may announce, and there's going to be a primary contest, and then half of the Republican Party will be focused on 28. Then you'll be in 28, and it's another election all over again. And what did we hear from Susie Wiles last week, the chief of staff? She said, I am going to have Trump campaigning in 26 like we had him campaigning in 24. That means she's going to run him ragged. He's going to be crisscrossing the country, doing events, doing rallies. He's going to be taxing himself enormously. And he only has so much energy.
What the are you doing?
He's falling asleep in cabinet meetings as it is. He's an 80-year-old man.
Oh shit, is it
They're
still
gonna
messed
have him
up?
so wound up doing these rallies, trying to keep our majority in the House, which is in vain.
Sometimes I
that
think my
all of the
if
career
I put my
politicians
headset on the
are
floor,
gonna be able
maybe
to get
it messes
everything
up.
past the goalie at the White House. As it always happens, while Trump is on a military campaign, figuratively, while Trump is away from the Capitol, away from the palace, all of these senators, all of the party apparatchiks, that's how they're going to slide in. While Trump is asleep, while Trump is busy, while Trump is in
My bad, sorry about
Minnesota
that.
or wherever
I need
campaigning,
to
that's
get a
where
new
they're gonna slide
headset,
their
man.
agenda in, and it's going to get actually worse.
Oh fuck.
Just as I said it would. So I don't believe, actually, that things are so optimistic with the Trump administration. We have to stop lying to ourselves about all of it. You don't need to pick a side. You don't need to be white-pilled or black-pilled. You need to be clear-pilled. You need to be realistic. You need to stop lying to yourself. You need to stop negotiating with yourself on behalf of a party that doesn't care about you. And that involves taking a cold, hard look at where we're at. And where we're at is that the war in Ukraine rages on. The war in the Middle East is about to get started again. Mass deportations have not happened, and we know that because ICE has not released any deportation numbers since Joe Biden was president because they're so embarrassingly low. H-1B visas hit their cap this year, over 120,000 of them. We're actually doubling the number of Chinese students. The economy is not doing well, actually.
Fuck.
It's barely chugging along. Job market's frozen. It's not going the way they said it would go. And here tonight is the perfect example. It's kind of a good segue. This is why tonight we're a year in. We have the White House, the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court. We have a lot of federal judges. We have governors. We have state legislatures. Republicans have power. We are firmly in power. We're a year in after we won the popular vote in a landslide electoral college victory. And we have to go out on TV and defend the record because it is that bad and it is that unpopular. And so we're going to get into it. We're going to talk first about this primetime address from Donald Trump tonight. We'll set it up. Yesterday, it was announced that Trump would be addressing the nation primetime from the White House tonight. And as of last night, nobody had any clue what the speech would be about. This morning, there was a rumor going around that the speech would be a declaration of war against Venezuela. And this was timed, I think coincidentally, with a war powers resolution voted on in the House of Representatives, which would constrain Trump's ability to declare war. So people said the timing of these two things would suggest that Trump is going to war. Tucker Carlson made an appearance on Judge Andrew Napolitano's show this morning, and he said he was told by a member of Congress that the White House briefed Congress that we were going to war with Venezuela. It would be announced tonight. This was verified by antiwar.com. It was verified by other sources. And everybody tuned in tonight at 8 o'clock Central to see our declaration of war. It didn't happen. Instead, we got a 20-minute speech, 20 minutes exactly, where the president defended his record on the economy and announced a couple of bizarre new initiatives. This is a story about it from the New York Times. It says, quote, President Trump delivered an 18-minute primetime speech to the nation Wednesday evening, arguing that the economy under his leadership is in better shape than Americans believe. It's so good that, you have to tell everybody how good it is. Nobody knows the economy's good. You have to remind them, hey, I know you feel broke, but you're not. I know you feel like you've gotten poorer. You're wrong. You're better off. You feel good. You feel prosperous now. I think the numbers on Black Friday were something like 90% of people used Klarna, used buy now, pay later to finance their Black Friday purchases. But yeah, no, everything's totally fine. 50-year mortgages, buy now, pay later is super popular. Job market is frozen. They didn't even publish the numbers in October.
Oh, come on. What
no,
the
but it's
fuck,
great.
man?
It's great. Trust.
Trust
the plan, idiot. It's actually fine. Gas is 50 cents a gallon. Just trust me. The article goes on. It says, wielding charts and figures, some of them misleading, Mr. Trump tried to make the case that the economy is improving, or at least that the bad parts of it are not his fault. The speech resembled comments Mr. Trump often makes while speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, full of self-praise of his own job performance while disparaging his predecessor, President Joe Biden. But he had a wider audience than usual, with networks interrupting their regularly scheduled programming to carry the remarks. In a surprising moment, Mr. Trump announced what he called a warrior dividend. Cool name, cool stuff. In which checks of $1,776 will be sent to 1.4 million members of the military. The president said the money would come from tariffs that he has levied on goods imported into the country.
Oh my fucking God, man. God damn it, dude.
Just like, remember when he said that the tariffs would pay down the debt? So that was a lie. Then he said the tariffs were going to create a dividend for everybody. And that was a lie too. So now the tariffs are going to pay for a dividend for the troops.
God damn it, man. Come fucking on.
Okay, well, what about the rest of us? What about the rest of us that aren't fighting for Israel or whatever? It's a warrior dividend. Great. So the tariffs destroyed the stock market. The tariffs to slow down the economy. Good news is the troops are going to get a paycheck. Well, there's no one more deserving, right? The article goes on. It says, Mr. Trump promised the economy would improve in the next year and that his policies would cause prices on electricity and everything else to fall dramatically. He said mortgage payments will be coming down even further early in the new year. And he said he would announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history next year. Okay, hopefully so. A recent New York Times analysis of Mr. Trump's approval ratings found a decline in support for Mr. Trump's handling of the economy from July to November. After he was finished speaking, he turned to the press and said, "You think that's easy?" And then took a swig of Diet Coke. He then suggested to those in the room that his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, had told him that he had to deliver the speech. He asked how he had done. Ms. Wiles replied, "I told you 20 minutes and you were 20 minutes on the dot." So it's very clear that this was all another trick. This is all just part of the bag of tricks. And I'll tell you what happened. Trump tricked the media and the public into watching this garbage. His approval ratings are in the toilet. His favorability is in the toilet. People's opinion of his job approval, specifically on the economy and immigration, is in the toilet. It's all bad. Trump is unpopular with his own base because of the exit of the Epstein files, the post about Rob Reiner, the lack of conclusion to the war in Ukraine, lack of mass deportations, lack of law and order from National Guard in the cities. People are not happy with the Trump administration. He's not delivering. All he is doing is talking. Rather than deliver one or any of the promises that he made, he is simply talking them up, trying to convince us that they are certainly happening. So he went and traveled and did a rally last week where he gave basically this exact same speech. And you might not know that that happened, and probably you didn't see it. He went out to a rally last week and gave a big stump speech. He's a lame duck president giving a stump speech, giving a campaign rally, talking about how everything is actually fine. Nobody carried it, nobody picked it up, nobody paid any attention. So this is where they hatched this idea. How are we going to get the public to listen to our defense of our catastrophic administration? We will trick them. We will actually just lie to them. So the Trump administration put out through back channels this rumor that Trump was going to war with Venezuela. He put that rumor out, maybe through Congress, maybe through Tucker Carlson, through others, and he tricked us. The mainstream media thought that Trump was going to declare war on Venezuela tonight, so they carried it on the networks. The American public thought a declaration of war was being made tonight, so people tuned in. And then it was a classic bait and switch. Instead of declaring war on Venezuela, he gave an 18-minute stump speech defending his record and announcing that next year,
Okay.
and this is why everyone hates Trump now. This is why everyone hates Trump. Everyone hates this administration. Because it is a scam. It's not even a failure. It's not even an honest failure. It is a scam. We are not getting anything that we have been promised. Think about it. We were promised industrial policy, tariffs, subsidies. They backed down in 1 week. Remember Liberation Day, April 2nd, we're going to liberate ourselves from free trade. We're going to have tariffs on every country. They caved in 1 week and then said, oh, the whole time it was really just about China. Remember that? Another fake out. They said, we're declaring tariffs on every country in the world. And then when the bond market melted down, they said, never mind. It was really just a big trick. And what we always intended to do was to only have tariffs on China and nobody else. Trump always chickens out. Then he said, we're going to deploy the National Guard to Chicago and LA and Memphis and every major city, and we're going to bring law and order to the streets. Then they said, oh, actually, we can't do that. And if we deploy 200 National Guard, that's what we meant, and we're only doing it for 60 days, and it never happened. Trump always chickens out. He said mass deportations, we're going to get all these people back. We're going to deport everybody, the violent criminals first, and then everybody else. 300,000 deportations for the year. He always chickens out. Every single thing is a catastrophe. And instead of just
We need a lot more seeds
about the state of things, instead of actually just recommitting to doing these things that were promised, we get excuses. They just fucking lie. And Trump gets up in a primetime address, like he did every week in the first term, and said, actually, everything's really going great. And it's like we just live in two different worlds now. We live in two different worlds with MAGA supporters, with Trump supporters. In the minds of Trump supporters, 3 million people have been deported, and Trump has ended 8 wars, and inflation is actually down. And that is what they believe. Even though the war in Ukraine is going on, they will confidently tell you, but Trump ended 8 wars. And what they're referring to is the war between Thailand and Cambodia, not making that up, the war between Rwanda and Congo, not making that up, the war between, the skirmish between India and Pakistan. In reality, where we live, the Ukraine war, you know, the actual war, that's still going on. The peace in Gaza, that's falling apart and will probably restart anytime soon. But Trump supporters will say, no, but he ended 8 different wars. How much do you want him to do? It's like, I think we elected him to end the war in Ukraine, not the one in Cambodia, actually. Not the border skirmish in Cambodia, you know. You say, where are the mass deportations? They don't even report the figures. The best estimates say it's 300,000, maybe 500,000 at most. In Trump world, they take a community survey that polled 65,000 households, and they extrapolate that to mean that 3 million people left the country because they were afraid of Trump. Trump deployed National Guard to Washington, D.C. They said, so actually, he made good on the promise of restoring law and order.
Okay.
And he comes onto the primetime address and insults our intelligence, defending this record with nonsense. Defensive with these cutesy little rhetorical phrases. We didn't need legislation to close the border. We just needed a new president. Yeah, you know, that was cute like the first 300 times we heard it. Now it's just a joke. So this characterizes everything about the Trump years. The whole thing is a bait and switch. The whole thing is just a never-ending advertisement. We're always fighting. Victory, prosperity is always just around the corner. Even tonight, he announces a check for the veterans. Okay, like honestly, big deal. The tariffs are not bringing in that much money. They're not solving the debt problem at all. They're not bringing back manufacturing. But Trump instead just lies and says, well, actually, we're bringing in so much money, we're going to get rid of income taxes and we're going to pay people money. Well, what happened to Doge cutting the deficit by $2 trillion? What happened to that? What happened to tariffs actually making money from every country? Then he says, well, we're going to cut a check to everybody. Oh, we don't have enough money for that. Now it's a check for the veterans. Now it's a check for the soldiers, and we'll call it a warrior dividend. Warrior. More of this cultural language. The only thing that was substantive in the speech, he talked about a ambitious housing plan next year. Okay, why? It's like you hear that and you go, he does a primetime address to announce that he'll have a housing plan later. Then why announce it now? He comes on 8 o'clock, prime time, tricks everybody into watching. Okay, you've got everybody's attention. You've got a captive audience. What do you have to say? How are we going to turn this around? What's the plan? Well, I am going to change housing. It is the most ambitious, wide-reaching housing reform in American history, and it's almost done. I'm announcing it next year. Okay, so did you plan on becoming president? I understand if you were surprised that you won the first time, but this is the 3rd time you ran for president. And you should have a pretty good idea of what you want to do when you get in. There's no housing plan. It's not finished yet. Did you not know you needed one during the presidential transition before the election? And why are we announcing it now then? Hey, I have an announcement, everybody. I'm working on a plan for housing. Get ready, because it's all going to get better. Okay, but when? And what is it? And what are the details? When are we actually going to see prosperity? And how are they going to get that through the Congress in 2026 when Democrats are having to appease and pander to their base? How's that even going to work? Trump has passed 5 bills this entire year. Every other president, it's like over 100. He's passed 5. He doesn't even have a plan yet, but now next year there's going to be a far-reaching housing plan. We're now going to take affordability later. And the speech isn't even good. On top of all this, so first of all,
You lie to get us to watch. You lie to our faces that things are going great. You don't even have a plan. Clearly, he knows lie to our faces that things are going great. You don't even have a plan. Clearly, he knows there's a problem. He knows it's not going well. He knows he needs to cut a check to the veterans and the rest to be announced later. There's not even a plan. Insulting us with lies about the state of the economy. And then, to add insult to injury, it's not even a good speech. He sounds retarded. If you actually watch the speech, he can't even read. He's reading from a teleprompter, and you could see him stumbling maybe a half dozen times in an 18-minute speech. The confidence isn't there anymore. The swagger isn't there. Stuttering, stumbling, weird little riffs, weird little verbal tics, detours he keeps going on. And you say, so the magic is gone too. The substance is gone, the style is gone. He's not delivering, it's not even the same message, and he's not even funny. And now it's not even entertainment. And I see these assholes on Twitter, they say Trump just trolled the media into carrying his primetime address from the White House. The joke is on them. No, the joke is on us. The joke is on us. The joke is on us. Rattling, starting another new war. We tune in. It's insult after insult. Lies. And it's not even entertaining on top of it. Who got trolled here exactly? Other than anybody that still supports this person. Other than anybody that still believes in any capacity that this administration can get something done. So I watched the address. It's just another ridiculous show. And I'm ready to be done with the Trump show. And unlike Tucker, I'm not going to do a 180 and say, oh, I don't know what I said. You know, what I meant was... No, this Trump show it's just got to end. I don't know. And I would say he should step down, but then J.D. Vance is going to become the president. But what do you even do with this at this point? Everything I said has come to pass. Worse even than I imagined. Because I told you in 2024 it would be like this. I told you this is exactly how it would go. And it was pretty obvious why. Trump had sold out to the donors on everything. On labor, on immigration, on foreign policy. His cabinet was hand-selected by Susie Wiles, a lobbyist from Florida. And she brought in all the Florida swamp creatures. She handpicked this bullshit candidate, or excuse me, cabinet. It should have been absolutely predictable. But somehow it's even worse. I told you a year ago, it's going to be corporate tax cuts, war for Israel. The war in Ukraine is not going to end. No mass deportations. It's going to be more permanent bureaucrats running out the clock. They're not going to move with the urgency, the swiftness that they need to. And in the end, all it's going to do is bring the left down harder upon us. Let's say the Democrats win in 2028, which if they appoint an actually viable candidate, we're in trouble. We kind of got lucky in 2024, wouldn't you say? We got lucky that Joe Biden is demented. We got lucky that his successor, Kamala Harris, was somehow more unpopular than him. Joe Biden was barely alive. Kamala Harris had never won a single contest, a caucus, primary, has never won any kind of contest in the national election. Add to that Trump had the full weight of the Israel lobby and little tech, and he got shot in the ear and had the iconic moment that changed the course of history. So we kind of got lucky in 2028, just like we got lucky in 2016. If the Democrats put up a halfway decent candidate in 2028 that doesn't alienate white people, that isn't super woke and isn't super cringe, we're going to get absolutely destroyed. And you know what's going to happen when they win? They're not going to fuck around like we are. They're not going to hire Rachel Maddow to run the FBI. They're not going to appoint a bunch of idiots to run the cabinet. They're going to hire the best judges, the best lawyers, the best law enforcement, and they are going to literally kill us. They are literally going to take away all of our civil liberties. They're going to throw us in jail. Because you see that Trump is barking up the wrong tree here. He is weaponizing the DOJ against James Comey, Barack Obama, Letitia James, Jackson, whatever. The way that Trump is going after his enemies, the way that he is inciting them and basically just antagonizing the radical left. He is inviting a brutal retaliation. So if we don't get lucky in 2028, they're almost certainly
I need
getting
to
back
try to
in
get some
power.
iron.
They'll wield executive power. They'll have the House, maybe not the Senate. And unlike Republicans, are not going to screw around. They're going to come to get us. So people say, well, why don't you just trust the plan? Why don't you just be patient? Well, we're trying our best. Trump needs to be acting like a literal dictator. You either need to be a dictator or you need to make peace with the left. But you can't do this thing in the middle where you pretend to be a dictator, but you're not one. Because like I said, all that is doing is inviting a retaliation. It might be fine. Pardons himself preemptively. He'll be okay. He's going to pay the price. He'll pay the price. It's everybody that helped ever. They're going to pay the price. From the new Democratic administration. They're going to help all their allies. They're going to punish all their enemies. Because we didn't do that when we had the power. So this is very frustrating. It's very hard to watch because this is just a squandered opportunity. We actually had the ability to in the age of trying to be serious, but people didn't want to see it lost. People were so caught up in the hype, whipped up in all these stupid suckers, paid under the table, super PACs, itself, whatever, paid as consultants, paid as profits. All these political idiots were basically paid, or they didn't care. They looked the other way, they gassed everybody up. Nobody pointed out the flaws, and now we're stuck with this for 4 years, and then we're all going to die. And I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but we have been absolutely screwed. And the reason I keep saying I told you so is because this reflects a feature in the Republican Party. I said all of this last year, and I made a very rational case. I made the arguments, and on some level, everybody kind of knew this. But the people that influence the conversation on social media don't care. They don't read. They don't know anything. And
Okay,
they
I
don't
think we
care
have
about
enough
the
iron.
outcome. They're also being paid, and they didn't disclose that they were being paid. So I had guys like Elijah Schaefer. I'll name some names.
Luckily, I found
had
a
guys like Elijah
big stack
Schaefer
of iron right off the
confronting
start.
me at CPAC this year, so I don't get it. Why didn't you support Trump? Well, hey, buddy, do you know now? He tells me, I don't watch your show. I don't have time. Why don't you like Trump? Well, maybe if you watch a show, maybe if you cracked open a book once in a while, maybe if you read something instead of just taking money from India and El Salvador, maybe you'd know why I didn't support Trump. Maybe you wouldn't be finding out a year later like everybody else. And he's just one example. And I like Elijah. I consider him a friend. But I'm calling him out on his irresponsibility. Just like I'll call out a lot of people that in the end went for Trump. Because they wanted to brown nose. They wanted a job in the campaign. They wanted a job in the admin on this sinking fucking ship. They wanted a title. They didn't want to be left out or left behind. They didn't want the FOMO. So they said, I'm going to support Trump. I got to get in on this. I know that it's not exciting, and they lied to themselves. And many of them lied to you. They took money under the table, and they lied to you, and they pretended like this administration was going to be great. And honestly, the whole thing is, when I say a scam, I mean they're looting the government. These cabinet officials, they are fucking corrupt. They're looting the government. What did Trump do when he won? He put out a shit coin and told everybody to buy it on social media, and that is now more than 50% of his net worth. You fucking stupid idiot. Trump got elected, put out a shit coin, all of his followers bought it, and then he sold and made literally billions of dollars. And you don't think that all of his cronies did exactly the same thing? You don't think that all of the insiders, many of them Jewish, at Mar-a-Lago, you don't think they profited from that as well? Of course they did. Talk about an omen. Talk about a red flag. Gee, I wonder if Trump is going to scam us again. I wonder if Trump is going to screw us again. And then he puts out a shit coin, everybody buys it, and he literally rug pulls you.
How do I
and
do
leaves you
this?
holding the bag. Like any other celebrity, like any other crypto scammer, and you thought you were going to get your mass deportations? This whole thing needs to be burned.
Oh man.
Not
For
literally,
Ashlands,
but
you
this
need
whole thing needs
other
to be
things:
burned to the
a
ground.
vomit
We're not
bag,
mad.
tissues,
We're
diapers,
not
and
angry
a punching
enough.
bag
We're not
left
pissed off enough.
to
You
let
people
off steam.
are not
I think
tired of
also,
being
yes, you're
shithoused.
correct.
People are still
I
gobbling
seen
this stuff up.
I seen
Trump told
someone
them
saying
that
this
you're
is the
carrying
most
drugs.
challenging. I
Trump
think
said
this
Somalians are
this
garbage. What a laugh.
the Ashlands were created for the people that
Stupid idiot. And what do
that
you
are
think is gonna
playing the
happen? At
game
the end of these 4 years,
even after they
Springfield,
beat the
Ohio
game.
is still gonna be filled with
So the
Haitians,
people that
and
are just
Minneapolis is
living
still
in the
gonna be filled
world,
with
they
Somalis.
created
I will bet you
a
10
level
billion
that's very
fucking
difficult.
dollars
That way it's
that
not
is the case.
easy
Would
for
you
them
take
to
me up
just
on
walk
that?
through this and be done with this.
Absolutely not, because you know as well as I do, those people aren't going anywhere. They're going to put another Nicky Knack 300 National Guard and ICE and Border Patrol in Minneapolis. They're going to have them doing a bunch of poses for social media video edits, and then they're going to go home. Some stupid liberal's going to put their middle finger in their face, they're going to get trolled on social media, and then they're going to go home. And Trump is going to say mission accomplished, because that's exactly what happened in Chicago. They had this, what do they call it, Operation Midway Blitz? Operation Midway Blitz. What did they call it? Alligator Alcatraz. Hey, pal. And then what did they deport? 1,000 fucking people? They went to L.A. with the National Guard, and in the end, they deported 1,000 people. You had liberals storm the detention facility, and they found it was empty. Liberals stormed the detention facilities where illegal immigrants are being concentrated, and it was empty. Like, if that doesn't tell you what this administration is. Liberals think there's another Holocaust. They think that ICE is the new Gestapo, Trump is the new Hitler, illegals are the new Jews, and they are literally being whipped up. They think it's another Holocaust. That's why you have snipers blowing people's heads off. That's why you have terrorist attacks being plotted against this country. Because they think it's Nazi Germany, and they're not even deporting anybody. The detention facilities are empty. In the end, who is that guy that they deported to El Salvador and the judges made them bring him back? What was that guy's name? Something Garcia? They made the Trump administration bring him back. Hey, listen up, Garcia, Kilmar, Alberto Garcia. You have 100 days until you get deported, and then you have 50 days until you're brought back. All these illegal alien farm workers, you have 200 days to get the fuck out of our country. And then you have a 30-day grace period to lawfully come back in, and we will give you an H-1A visa and set you up in the Four Seasons Hotel, because that's what Brookie wants. That's what Brooke Rollins at Agriculture wants, because she has a better relationship with Trump than Kristi Noem, because that's our idiot cabinet, America First Policy Institute. How many people were complicit in that? All of these people are complicit. They are all going to parties, wearing tuxedos, where people are not invited. All these people, they're making money. All these people in politics, Trump included, Kristi Noem, Corey Lewandowski. These people are all making money, effectively, allegedly, selling titles, like doing corrupt things that powerful people do. They're all securing their retirement while they loot the country, while they dare the left to kill us, and then when the left comes to power, we're going to be the ones holding the bag. That's why it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. And everybody that shilled for Trump, like, you can just never trust them again. Anybody that was pro-Trump, you know, I don't care if they were well-intentioned or not, you can just never trust them again. Anybody that said, oh, I told people to vote for Trump, Tucker and Candace included. We had a chance to turn this around. It was during the election. It was during the... You want to call Trump out? Call him out when he needs your damn vote. Trump was saying all this a year ago about H-1B visas, about stapling green cards to diplomas. He was not serious about mass deportations a year ago. He was talking about bombing Iran a year ago. The time to call him out on it was last year, when they needed something from us, when they needed our vote. But all of you people told yourselves, well, we'll figure that out later. Okay, well, it's later. And the speech tonight said, oh, it's coming later. It's always just a year away. Not for Israel, not for the billionaires, not for the oligarchs. For them, they get their tangible benefit today. on a silver platter. For all of us voters, we're waiting for next year, always. So that's your primetime address. I don't know how people even find it funny. It's not funny. The whole thing's a big joke. The whole thing is a big, stupid joke. And you understand why Marjorie Taylor Greene quit. Because it's like, and I understand, people like her son is getting death threats. Her family's getting death threats. She's trying to make good on the promises, and she's being attacked by the president, sicking his supporters on her. And you go, okay, so what are we even fighting for then? If the leader is not even pushing the principles of America first, if he's going to endorse Lindsey Graham but attack Marjorie Greene, if he's going to open up the floodgates for the Chinese to fund the universities, and he's attacking me for saying that's not a good idea, then why are we suffering like this? Now, the difference is that Marjorie didn't know what she was really fighting for. In her mind,
Alright, hopefully we have another boat at our base. I'm sure we do, but I need to
I'm fighting for America first.
move this
Trump will be
stack
America
of
first, then we're with Trump.
iron.
If he's not, then we're not. And that's why we can't be absolutely beholden to anybody. That's why our loyalty actually comes with a price tag. You want support from the Goipers? You want support from me? You want support from America first? You have to give us something. I don't have a jersey on. I'm not under a contract. I'm not being paid under the table by these people. You want me to shill for Trump and not Gavin Newsom? You want me to shill for Trump and not Kamala? Give me something. Give us something tangible. We have a price, just like Elon Musk has an ask, just like Miriam Adelson has an ask. We have an ask as well. And that's a difference between people that are serious and people that are being strung along and turned out like political whores. Marjorie Greene, you know, making these deals, she thinks she's a genius. She thinks that she's making moves. You're not making moves. You're being used.
Oh,
You're
you gotta be kidding me. We don't have a
instrumentalized by
boat
them.
here?
And you think that's influence.
Oh,
They use you,
man,
and you
man.
think that's influence. They tell you what to do. They tell you what to support. You have no say in it. You have no independent following, no independent base of support, and you think that's influence. That's a mirage. So that's why we have to absolutely steel ourselves going into 2026
Shit,
and 2028.
I think our boat is down here.
You and me have to steel ourselves. We cannot ever allow it to happen again. We can let the Republican Party lose. And they will squeal like pigs. And they'll say, you're going to make us lose. You're with the Democrats. Nick Fuentes is an operative. They're going to say all this kind of stuff. Remember how you feel now when they say that. Fuck you. They're going to tell us in 26, just like they did in 24. They're going to say, we got to hold the line. I know it's not all it's cracked up to be. I know we didn't deliver on everything, but hey, it's not all that. They're going to say that. And in 2026, you need to be ready to say, well, that sounds like a you problem. They're going to tell you, Republicans can't afford to lose the House. You're going to have to say, that sounds like a you problem. You know, you should have thought of that when you put together this big, beautiful bill. And it was a piece of shit legislation. You should have thought of that when you didn't deport 2 million people in 2 years. You should have thought of that when you brought in those 600,000 Chinese students. Do those people vote? You should have thought of that when you said you need 600,000 Chinese students to pay the universities. Are the universities going to vote? Go ask them for their vote. Go ask the 600,000 Chinese students for their vote. Go ask the Ivy League universities for their vote, because you're keeping them in business by doing that. Go ask the illegal immigrant farmers and the illegal immigrants that work in hospitality. Go ask for their vote, because you protected their right to live here illegally. That's what you're looking out for. So what are you talking to me for? You're telling me Republicans are going to lose? That sounds like a you problem. Go tell the people you actually defend. Go talk to Elon Musk. Go talk to Sam Altman. Go ask to Ken Griffin. Go talk to BlackRock and Blackstone. You go and talk to them, Larry Fink. And you explain to them that Republicans are going to get devastated in the midterms and how bad it's going to be. Because you had your chance. You had the House. You had the Senate, the White House, the Supreme Court. It was supposed to be a golden age. Remake the federal judiciary. back asking for another vote in 26, and if I say no, that's my fault? I'm the problem, and they'll do it again in 28. And that's why, you know, a lot of people say the show's a black pill, the show is negative. I need you to feel this. I need you to feel it in your bones. I need you to feel it in your heart. You have been betrayed. This is treachery. You have been betrayed. Things are not going well for you. It is going well for them. They don't even care. They are giddy. They are giddy. They are gleeful. Tucker and Candace told you to vote for Trump. Are they hurting? No. They're making more money than ever. Tucker just bought a new house in Doha. Candace Owens cannot contain her joy. She told you to vote for this nonsense. Trump and all of his cronies made probably billions of dollars off of the Trump shitcoin. How are you doing? How are you handling the increase in Netflix and Disney Plus subscription costs? How are you handling the increase in the prices across the board? 4.5%, 5% interest rate on the mortgage. How are you handling that? Did you use buy now, pay later for Black Friday? Do you feel like we live in a safer, more white country with fewer immigrants than we did a year ago? Absolutely not. So you need to live in this. You need to, I'm not one of these people that's cheerful, rah, 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 hey guys, everything's fine. No, it's not fine, and it's not okay. Everything sucks, and it's not okay. And things need to change now. And they need to understand that if things don't change now, then we are ready to join them. We will hold their hand, and we will walk into oblivion together. We will walk you down that road. You say it's going to be your fault. It's your fault. We have been promised things for 10 years, and it's always just around the corner, just another election. We just need a couple more seats. I got off the hamster wheel. I stopped yet. You give me something, you fight for me, you promise me something. If you're some new guy, okay, now we'll talk. All these other people, you lost. So, that's why I'm trying to really drill this home for you. All it is marketing. All it is constant, ceaseless marketing. Email lists, subscriptions, check, watch the primetime thing. Hey guys, sloganeering. From Susan Wild, hey, everything's actually fine. Really? For who? For Elon Musk, who's now worth $600 billion? For who? Bitcoin's at 85,000. No gains. Anyway, so yes, we're going to move on. We'll talk a little bit about Dan Bongino, but that's my rant about this whole Trump administration. How do we translate this into action? That's always the question. People always want to know, how do we change it? And I'll tell you how we change it. We have to get organized, okay? Separately, we are weak. Together, we are strong. This is just a basic principle. People say that's fascism. That's just true.
Oh wow, really? Oh shit. I just saw what you said about the night spawn.
The administration fears the Israel army. They don't want to upset the Israelis. Why? Because the Israelis have independent power. Ben Shapiro will not vote for Trump if President Trump is president. Think about this for a moment. Why is the Republican Party afraid of defending Israel and Jews? Because Israel and Jews have power. But what does that mean? It means they have money. Money that buys television ads, newspaper ads, radio ads. It means they have position. They have positions of influence that they can use to influence the course of the election. And it's not just that they have power, but they're willing to use it for their own interests. So if Trump says, I don't support Israel, let's say he keeps every single one of his policies, but he doesn't support Israel, do you think Ben Shapiro's voting for him? Honest question. Let's say Trump keeps every single one of his policies, but he doesn't support Israel. Is Ben Shapiro voting for Trump, yes or no? We all know the answer is no. And he's going to tell his audience not to vote for Trump. As a matter of fact, he's going to encourage his audience not to vote for Trump. There's a lesson in this. Take your own side. Take inventory of what you have. We have our vote, we have some money, we have some position. Use it in defense of your interests. And if somebody is not doing something for you, do not take their side. Do not support them. They're not entitled to it. They do not own it. They're not owed it. and say, you know what? If there is no immigration moratorium, I'm not voting for Trump. I don't care how unpopular it is. I don't care how difficult it is. If he doesn't commit to an immigration moratorium, then we will not vote. Listen to them squeal. But you're not being a real Republican, but we can never do that. But that's impractical, but that'll never... You figure it out. You're running for office. You're running for Congress. You're running for president. You figure it out. We're the voters. 90% of the people that voted for Trump in 2016 were white, and they're all being robbed of their birthright. They're all being dispossessed. They're all being forced into minority status. A country where foreigners and the foreign-born and invaders outnumber us and dominate culturally, politically, socially. And Trump has been complicit in it. We have interests as a people. Let's start fighting for them. So we have to group up, and we have to make it known and get the word out. These are our demands. They are simple. There is a short list of them. We do not want a war in Iran. We do not want a single net immigrant coming into the country. You work out the details. Otherwise, we're staying home, and you can take your chances. You figure out the fucking math on that. You figure out how to sell it to the American people. That's your job. But people weren't ready to do that last year. I hope that after this experience, you're ready to do that. I hope you're ready to do that in 2020, because that is what is required. We have to use our power. And let them sweat, let them panic, because these political people made a lot of money. They have made a lot of money, and they live a pretty nice lifestyle. Private jets and fancy hotels and fancy receptions and rubbing shoulders with the rich and famous and patronage, like things you couldn't believe. Lobbyist money that you couldn't believe. What do we have to lose? At this point, people say, well, if a Democrat gets in, they're going to throw open the border, brother. It's big debt. What do you think a few million more immigrants is going to change anything? Honest to God, we're going extinct as a species. If there's not an immigration moratorium, you can cut it 10%, you can cut it 50%.
Oh shit, I went the wrong way.
It's time to get serious. Anyway, that's that. But I do want to move on. I want to get into Dan Bongino. You know what? We'll probably just take the super chats. I'm not going to we'll just say this is a short show. Because I did an Alex Jones thing today. So I did 2 hours this afternoon. I did an hour show tonight. A little bit of a shorter show. But I'm trying to conserve my energy. Okay? All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. We just hit 50,000 live viewers. Let's go. 50,000 live viewers at 11:30 at night on Wednesday. That's the generational. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what you guys... I promise I'll be here. If I'm here at all, I'll be here earlier tonight. It's just so hard to get it going on time for me. All right, let's see. Interesting. Yeah, hey, well, us too. What do you think the women and children are going to think? Don't bring in the men, only the women and children. Okay, what do you think Somali women create? They create Somali men. And the children are up to the men, so it's like, that's kind of fun. Yeah, I don't like Catan. Everybody, all these nerds are into Catan. I never liked it. I really like Diplomacy. That has got to be my all-time favorite game, Diplomacy. It was invented by a guy from Grange Park, my hometown, actually. Funny. Very small town. Small suburb of Chicago. And there's not a lot of notable alumni from LGP, but my favorite board game, Diplomacy, was invented by a guy from the same town. It's like Risk, but there's no dice, there's no chance, it's all just politics. It's pretty great game. The other one, Axis and Allies. That's a great one. Love Axis and Allies. I totally forgot how to play, but when I was in high school, I had a buddy who was really into it. I had a couple of buddies who were really into it, and we just played the shit out of that all summer. That's a great one. It kind of ruined a friendship, though. I had a really good friend that in high school who I actually, one of my best friends of all time, top ranked. And we literally stopped being friends because we crashed out over a board game. We were playing Axis and Allies and had a really ugly fight about it. And then we played that game in 1860. And we had a big fight about it. And I think I basically never spoke to him again after we played that game. Because we it was one of those things where we didn't understand the rules until the very end, and then I was like, oh, so that means I get to do this thing where I win. And he's like, well, then I get to cheat and do this thing, and I was like, no. So we had this terrible fight. He had Asperger's, and he was like, I'm literally gonna beat you up right now. I'm literally gonna punch you in the face right now. And I was like, fine, I'll just go then. And I never talked to him again. And we were friends for years. So, but you know what? Sometimes it's that serious. Sometimes it's that deep. You know? That was part of it. That wasn't the whole reason, but that was a big part of it. I take it seriously. Here's the problem. I'm a very competitive person, and I will never back down. So somebody needs to back down. Somebody needs to cave, because I'll never do it. And maybe I should be willing to do that, but I'm extremely competitive, extremely rivalrous, and somebody has to be willing to de-escalate, because otherwise it'll go like that. So it's a shame, because I miss him. He was a good guy. That was sort of the end of the road. That was the end of the line for our friendship. Because we were playing on Tabletop Simulator on Steam, and so we played all these games. Got pretty up. It's a shame. It was a funny game. We were too similar.
Chad sent $25. Seeing his parents coping like they're the new Italians and that they are going to have a white chef is just fucking pathetic. It is on par with self-awareness they express on many other issues. Making you a brown and have 2 more IQ BTS than black. Be thankful you were at Wi-Fi and aren't dancing for rain.
It is so true. You know when you're sick and you just feel it in your muscle? You know what I'm talking, or you're fat in my case. You know when you're sick and you just feel it in your flesh? It's like you feel it inside your tendons. I just feel I feel blah. I just want a bucket of fried chicken and I just want to watch it. I want to doom scroll on my phone out of the blanket, watching parallel screen time, watching TV. But instead, I'm here. Anyway, what was the question about Hispanics? Yeah, they're never. They can be white if they Hey, listen. They can be white if they interbreed enough. Because look at me, guys. You know, my grandfather was brown and now I'm white. Now, my grandfather, they called him Injun Joe. And now look at me. So, you know, maybe one day. There's hope. There's hope yet for you Mexicans.
JD sent 24 cent $20. Keep eating the big soft for a period of love and get combos.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Sending sent $20. There's nothing masculine about the Scotland standing on the wall behind my guy. I bet Jonathan Perry, bag of butter, and mouse. Love you. I want to get photos snapping for you, smile maybe before. God's emoji.
Stockings. Christmas decorations are gay now?
That's on the floor for $700. Yesterday, you were so much about the speech about her. I believe that your safety is the most important thing in politics on earth right now. In the whole world. I love this super chat out the across the security. Frank, your family, Chris Lee, God bless.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, people think I make all this money. I spend a lot of money on security now. It's costing me a lot of money, so I do appreciate it. And I'm glad that you liked the speech that I gave last night. Yes, prayers for Christine. We love Christine. She's really a good, sweet person. And I gotta get out of here. I'm sick right now, but I gotta go out there and bring some food.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, no, the security.
I didn't even grab the fucking iron, man. God damn it,
How
dude.
much do we pay for security? And I even told me, are you serious? It's budget. It's budget. Like, dude. Totally insane. I'm a miserly. I've had this suit for 10 years and I wear it every day because all the other ones have holes in them. I'm a very miserly. I'm a little loot goblin. I like to accumulate. spend it just to stay
He
alive.
donates some $50. Yeah, I want to compliment his speech about promotion. This succeeds Monday night. Listen to a ton of top-rated speeches like those of years into thoughts on a topic with black defendant. Let's make you into a New York Times #1 bestseller.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I've considered.
Nick, we talk about Candace's comments being negative. What does it say about yours? Almost all comments under your fan accounts, including from Girl Hyper, Candace, drifting off and say Tim 100% deserved.
Oh, those are bots. Those are Russian bots. Isn't that what we do now? No, those people are idiots. That's the difference. It's the same idiots. It's Candace's fans have been sicked on the world. They're like a zombie apocalypse. It's Candace Owens fans that have turned on her. It's Candace Owens fans that are attacking everybody because these people are psychotic. They're having a psychotic episode. They are a victim of mass hysteria, and I hope that they get the treatment that they need. I pray for them. I hope that God works on them because they are deeply fucked up.
Wheelchair 4% $25. Candace, I've been in a wheelchair for 10 years and the friend showed me your screen. I just wanted to say thank you for making my wheelchair turns on.
Very good.
Palestine 1948 sent me name is 18th Palestinian who was able to create an autonomous entity in the own empire. Palestinian women for national prayers for Christine. Baseman who played $700. And then, my girlfriend mother's turning 56 on December 19th. She's a fan of the show and Dave wished her happy birthday from DLA.
Thank you for the
Oh my god, come on, man.
Happy birthday to your mom. W Mom, we love the moms, don't we? Happy birthday to the goat. Moms, goat. Big shout out. Happy birthday. Enjoy. Hope you have some cake. Hope you have a big party. Go nuts. Go wild. Happy 56. You know, age is nothing. 56, more like 67. No, but happy birthday. Enjoy. I love the moms. See, there's more money, less.
I'm glad that I realized I fucking didn't bring the iron. I would have to come all the way back. I went to get iron from another island, and then I went all the way back to my base and drove the boat here. And then I get I come here, and then I don't even pick up the iron, and I jump in my boat and I start going back home. Right before I was leaving, I remembered, oh my god, I don't even have the iron. I turned around.
I just like fantasizing about this domestic life. No, you're a girl.
The other day I did something similar. I was trying to move the extractors, and I ended up going all the way over there without the extractor. I went to the wrong location. I forgot to pick up the extractor. I had to come all the way back and pick it up.
Building a railroad. The real man wants to sleep on the floor of his factory as he builds an empire of iron and steel. A real man wants to run this country with an iron fist, sign execution warrants, with no time for any of that rom-com stuff, with no time for my kid's recital. That's what it is to be a real boss, a real man. So, yeah, I'm sorry that bothers you. I'm sorry that you're like a road test girl. I'm sorry you're in a relationship with your wife and you want to sit around and braid each other's hair until you get your period at the same time, talking about our kids or whatever. But there are some real niggas that is that I am right and she is wrong. I am smart and she is dumb. Let me help you out real quick. That's the notion.
Is 100% of unmet giant creation of American citizens unless you're United States member? Of course, when you limit the number between two groups, the larger group will be 100% of that. That's how it works.
I have the one.
Slide in fascist at $20. Candace joins the rest of the comments. Dumb bitch won't grow for no reason. By the way, I you got it, see. This will who will put your shackles on as if you were chained.
UFC was up. I knew you put your shackles on. Can we just talk about this?
By the way, $17. How is it fair, Gen Z is staying your villages? Yet Gen against Trump counts on who is making nice success. The idea of Americans exist as natural people. Yes, everything is realistic. I want to see this one. God bless you and your family, and thanks for the base tag.
Wow, thank you for the big super chat. Another satisfied customer.
Percent $20.
Love it.
So upsetting Trump did absolutely nothing with the Charlie Kirk's murder. Gives allowance for the left to continue advocating for it. Foolish to think he's the last one to be harmed.
Yep.
Same thing now with Brown.
Yep.
Hunter and Titus. How many new potential predators are salivating at a mentally challenged FBI right now? Prayers.
That's a very good
Igor
observation.
Guy 91 cent
You're right.
$20. Nikki, you're a true patriot. In 35, but I can't unsee what the jeweler is doing to the United States.
Jewel.
Did you see where they are threatening to ruin your life over anti-Semitic online?
Yes, I
Average
did.
John
It's
93
crazy.
said $100. Man, it must be nice to be right so often. I try to keep an open mind and watch everyone's stuff, but most are spinning webs with no facts. I don't like to follow blindly, but with your consistency.
Big super chat. All I'm asking for is the benefit of the doubt. All I'm asking for is people to hear me out, listen to what I'm saying, and evaluate it. If you don't agree, that's fine. But my record speaks for itself. I've been right about almost everything for like 10 years. And that's because I think, and I tell you how I think and how I got to my conclusion, and if you kind of find a flaw in the logic and point it out, that's one thing. But a lot of these people, they just say their opinion, and that's different than telling people how you arrived at that opinion and how you assign probability to things. And so, yeah.
Gigasker said
I
$20.
appreciate it.
Finally watched your Piers interview. Must say, I'm glad everyone universally called out Piers for him laughing at you being celibate. Sex worship has got to stop. It's some middle school shit.
Well, and in the end, that's all they have. Let's take the L on that one. Yeah, it's weird to be a virgin at 27. It's true. Like, you can't really defend that. But in the end, that's all they have. If somebody is sitting there saying the Holocaust is BS, Hitler is cool, we're racist, and you can't win on any of those points, so you have to default to, okay, but you're a weird guy. It's like, okay, I'm a weird guy that's right. Now what? So it just goes to show that liberalism has no arguments. 10 years ago, it wouldn't even need to go there. 10 years ago, you'd say, oh, you're racist. Look at the racist. He's wrong. He's a piece of shit. So, that's really, if that's all they got, then they got nothing.
84 cent $20. Candace said she knows the Kirk was killed by Israel the same way that JFK was. When this is fully unraveled for the grip it is, people will push us back here.
Yep.
We needed a book to fully expose it.
I think I will.
Stone Brain Reaper sent $20. James Fishback from FL Right is gone. Hoping to focus on these out. Won't make a big difference, but worth a look if you ever get bored.
It's
Love the show.
cold.
God
I don't
bless.
know if I'm
From you,
cold
Hunter.
because I'm sick or if it's because it's cold outside. Yeah. It's only the 1 millionth time someone's asked about it.
$50. Pepper on Napolitano. I don't know anything more than a regular person. I'm just a podcaster. I don't know. I don't want to overstate what I know of general nothing. I watch one like you as just a journalist.
He is such a liar. You have to admire it. Tucker Carlson lies like he breathes. I'm just a podcaster. I don't know more than you. Just a podcaster. Stop. Just stop. I'm just a journalist. I'm just a When I go to Russia and Serbia and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and I meet with the leadership of these countries, I'm just a tourist. I'm just there to wear my flip-flops and ask questions. Dude, just fucking stop. Cap. You are a spy. You are a spy. You are CIA. Just cut the shit. I'm just a podcaster. You are not just a podcaster. You are a spook. You are a glow nigger. Everyone knows
Renegade
that.
sent $20. When Alex Jones said if you study the code, it's a military takeover, man. Will you actually fall for this crap?
Oh, brother. Seething Muslim.
The Frank said $100. What Stephen Hawking book is better? Paradoxes of Power or Waiting on Hitler?
I haven't read Waiting on Hitler yet. Thank you for the big super chat. I haven't read it, so I can't compare it. But Paradoxes of Power, very worth the read. Vastly superior. After Tucker and I did the interview, he recommended I read In the Court of the Red Tsar, which is only the most well-known Stalin biography for amateurs. After we did the interview, he goes, why do you like Stalin? I said, well, he's just fascinating, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'm fascinated by him too. He goes, you should read Court of the Red Tsar. I said, dude, that's like basic bitch 101. Everyone knows that. And Stephen Kotkin blows all that stuff out of the water. A lot of these myths about Stalin's childhood and other stuff that we get from that biography. So it's definitely worth the read. It's a good series.
$120. Have you ever traveled outside the U.S.? Every time I come back from being out of the country, I return with a renewed sense of gratitude for how great it is here and the opportunities we have. Even though there's cool places out there, America just hits so different.
I have, yeah. I've been all over the globe, and nothing compares. America
Card games
is
at
on
$25.
top.
I don't always find my best friend's wife, but when I do, it's cash wages. Stay thirsty, my friends.
Oh
Premium
gosh.
Double Squeeze sent $20. The greatest thing that's happened in 2024 is we got the internet back early. How long do we stay on this thing? Renegade sent $20. Andrew Kate and Sneaker talked way more shit about Islam than you did. How could I even lie? Doesn't that make you just like the industry because talking about all of your information on Islam comes from secondary sources? You read books all the time. Why not this one? It's just one small book.
Just fuck off.
John McConaughey sent $25. Would be cool to see. Merry Christmas, Pope Wet Test. Tony sent $20. Hey, Nick, I'm using the AF Plus website and I'm just wondering if there will ever be a download feature so you can listen offline.
No, then you're gonna steal my content.
$20. Is a soldier of Christ so much you worship him? You are dual citizen to the Vatican. America is Anglo and maybe some Redskins. It's
You lost.
Southern Fried Wasps. Sent $20. Once you get the deal, will you ever consider adding a Shaolin monk or two to your security detail? For some reason, this is a real thing. Merry Christmas.
Really? I'll look into
You
that.
and I sent $20. My boys used to call me anti-Semitic 10 years ago. Now we sit and watch the sluggish low income jobs. The banks thought they demoralize us. Fuck out. Keep on keeping on.
Sloppy schlomo and coach. Come on. Be normal. Understanding.
It's been ensured differs in two critical races. NC sent 26 at U.S. Senate. Trump rally on Friday night. His final attempt to resurrect his failing endorsed candidates. Both Sam Page and Don Brown.
Wow, thank you for the huge super chat. I'll take a look at those races. Thank you very much.
Zion Don sent $275. Got Candace on public EVP decline before GTA 6. Hope you two can kiss and make up though. Relationship of the century. A love worth fighting for in my opinion.
It's always worth fighting for. Thank you for the huge super chat.
Okay,
Candace.
we got
This
the
isn't
boat
us.
build.
Yeah, right. Last night I talked shit about her. Today she's talking shit about me. Candace, this isn't us.
Oh my god.
Candace, stop. What are you doing? This isn't us. This isn't who we are. Come back home where I can take care of you. Oh, Candace. Ah. Yeah. Candace, old girl. Come on home. Well, she'll always have a place to stay out here in the streets of Chicago if she ever gets kicked out of George Farmer's mansion for being too based.
Southern Fried Wasps.
She'll always have a
Did Jesus
place.
ask us to attend mass and listen to a singular opinion on the Bible? No, because that's ridiculous.
Ugh, you're going to hell.
American
Thank you.
Bitcoin sent $21. You said he allows social mobility by preventing entrenched wealth, but isn't inflation theft from the working class? BTC's fixed supply enforces true meritocracy without state manipulation.
Thank you.
Satan
All
sent
right,
$20. Gene Cernan is another great man from Chicago who was raised Catholic. As the member of Apollo 17, he was the last man on the moon. White Devil
Alright, I think I'm gonna switch over to Call of Duty in a bit, and then I'm gonna save the trip later. We gotta push down here more. I don't know exactly what to expect, so this is gonna be an interesting portion of the stream. But I'll be back. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I'm gonna launch Call of Duty. I'm gonna do some of the challenges. Hopefully I could get some challenges done before it's too late there.
Merry Christmas and joy.
Have you entertained the idea of sign posters available at the store?
No, too hard.
But I should be playing some of the Valheim maybe later tonight. I'll play a little bit more too, and I'll try to see if I can set up a base near the fire level,
I could have turned out as dark as you.
because I know that the wood will burn inside that area, so I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do this. I might need to bring things to make a stone base there, so that way my base doesn't break apart. But I'll be back. Alright, brother, you have a good day.
The Slippy one sent $20.